to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Today is, because of the storm, we have moved our Thursday normally scheduled meeting to today. Today is October 15th, 2024. This is going to act as our regular commission meeting and CRA meeting. With that, I'm going to ask Commissioner Banks if you will open us up with invocation. Please stand if you're able.
Father, once again, we come before you to give you thanks and to praise and to lift up your most holy name. You continuously pray for our community, pray for each commissioner and the one that is elected. We pray for our community and the citizens in our community. Let us be bound together and be as one. We ask this in your son Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Karen, if you'll do a roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner DeVito?
Present.
Commissioner Lori?
Here.
Commissioner Banks?
Here.
Commissioner Burton?
Here.
Mayor Myers?
Here.
Code Enforcement Pam Taylor? Here. CRA Manager Christina Hyde? Here. Steve over there?
Yes.
Finance Director Steve Coughlin?
Here.
Don Home City Attorney?
Here.
Okay. Interim City Manager Michael Bolhart?
Here.
Putnam County Sheriff's Office Captain Osry?
Here.
I'm the city clerk, Karen Hayes, and this is Roberta. She's here tonight just to observe and to learn how to do my job. I'm not leaving or anything, she's just here to learn.
Okay, thank you. And we would like to welcome our interim city manager, Michael Brillhart. Michael, thank you for being here, and stepping in when you stepped in. Sorry that, Milton, decided to welcome you, but thank you for your leadership and for getting us through this. We appreciate that. With that, I'm going to go ahead and start with our announcements. We've got quite a few announcements. So this Thursday, October 17th at 4 p.m., the Fruitland Historic Society is going to be meeting. They meet at the Crescent City Women's Club. And Bob Lee, and I don't know if any of you have ever heard Bob Lee speak, but he will be there speaking on the history of Fort Gates and the beautiful Palmettos Manor. So please, if you can, try to attend. That will be, that is Thursday the 17th at 4 p.m. And it's at the Crescent City Women's Club. Also, the Crescent City Women's Club has Monco, October 16th, which is going to be tomorrow. They do this the third Wednesday of each month from 1 to 3. The cost is $6. They have snacks and drinks available for a minimal charge. I've heard they have a great time there. And of course, everybody loves bingo. So the Crescent City Women's Club, they're doing their bingo, $20 dinner and bingo, Friday, October 18th, 2024. And the jackpot payout is $50. Tickets are available at the door. And it's from doors open at 5. Bingo starts at 5:45. The Women's Club is also having a holiday bazaar, October 25th through 26th, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. They do this every year. And then we got this in, that the annual Crescent City Junior Senior High School Junior ROTC sponsored Veterans Memorial Ceremony. They are going to have at the school gym on Friday, November 8th, 2024 at 10:15 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. The public is invited to attend. They're going to have the Crescent City Army ROTC Color Guard and also the band, along with local heroes, veteran heroes. And then someone put this in, we have the Crush Crisis. I believe is this something that, so this is Saturday, October 26th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The hospital is committed to improving more lives in more ways. They're a proud partner with the Black Police Department and healthcare in support of the National Prescription Drug Take Back Day. I believe this is something you'll be speaking to also, is that correct, Captain? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. With that, as got a lot going on, and then with our downtown partnership. So this is fun. This is our second annual pet parade and yappy hour. And this is where you can dress up your dog in costume and join us for a parade down Central Avenue. Registration will begin at 5 p.m. on the corner of Park Avenue and Central. Last year, I believe we had 30 dogs, expecting more this year. That's gonna be Friday of next week, and then the following day is gonna be our Crescent City Fall Festival. That's October 26th from 9 to 2, and that's gonna be at the corner of Central Avenue and Summit, free admission, and they're going to have, best includes local arts, crafts, woodwork, knife sharpening, festive family photo op, reptile encounters, and, a lot more arts and entertainment. And then we have our trunk or treat, and thank you to the Sheriff's Office for once again sponsoring our trunk or treat. Last year, we had a record number of children. We believe we had, 1,300, I believe, about 1,300, they said.
I don't remember.
A lot, we had a lot of kids. Anyway, we'll determine the time tonight, but right now they have it at 6 p.m. And that's gonna be, they'll start at the Old Miller Middle School, and they'll on Prospect Street, and they will travel south on Prospect Street typically, and then come back around and do their trick or treating. And then on November 2nd, in Eagle Lion Park, we're going to have our third annual Day of the Dead Festival with authentic festivities, food, vendors, music, and fun. This is always a great event, and we have a lot of people that come out from this, and a lot of good community support with that. So we got a lot going on. And top of all that, as many of you know, we've had a storm. Thankfully, and we have been in direct communication. I will say that FPL has been on top of this the entire time. They've been in direct communication with us. And as of this morning, it appeared that we were 100%, except for any post activities that occur. As many of you know, and this has happened, limbs continue to fall, trees continue to fall. And so they are doing those on a case-by-case basis. They said to please make sure that you call those in. If you have an outage, call it in so they can give you a ticket and get started on that. Our crews have worked round the clock. They did the Helene cleanup, as directed by our governor. He wanted to make sure the streets were all clean, so there was no debris flying. They had the city was sparkling on Tuesday evening, and Thursday morning, it was a different story. So they have been out there trying to get the piles. It's my understanding that they're going to, for just a little while, they have to halt that. They've got regular business that we have to take care of. We're working with the county and also with FEMA as far as debris haulers. So please, everyone, if you see our workers, our employees out there, thank them. I mean, they've been out there doing a hard job. And Keith and Jason have made sure that our water source was safe. It never went down. And with our lift stations, they had to take care of those. We learned a lot through this. But I just thank everybody for their encouragement. It was really neat on Thursday morning, as bad as everything looked, and it was a mangled mess. We were 100% down with power at 5:15 on Friday evening, and they started coming back up at 7 o'clock. Some people sparked early and then went back out, but it was really neat driving the streets and seeing the community and neighbors helping each other and getting the debris out, and so everyone should be commended for that effort. FEMA did come in today. They met with us. As many of you know, FEMA is taxed right now. They have, a lot going on. They said, we're 75%, in a, disaster zone in Florida. They're in numerous states right now, and they said that they're going to get to everything as they can, and for people to please be patient. We'll post this. Karen, thank you for posting things continuously. This is why it's important for everyone to sign up so that you get those alerts from the city. We do have that through our website. But they said there are, if it's a primary residence, they can help with possibly home repair or displaced assistance. If in fact you don't have insurance to cover that, they cannot, you have insurance, the insurance will cover it. And then FEMA will come in after the fact. We will get this out. They said to call the 800-621 for anybody watching or here that needs it, 3362, or go online to disasterassistance.gov. They said also there is an immediate that they can do, which is like a $750 for those that lost everything in the refrigerator, or have to certain needs that they need met, diapers such as that. They said that that's part of that, so you'll want to register with them. Small Business Administration, they're doing bridge loans for any of our businesses. A lot of our businesses were without power, they lost their refrigeration. They lost service hours. I mean, just, it was, everything was down. But I thank everybody for your help, for your support, and for your constant encouragement. We always learn from this, and we have learned a lot. And so we'll get that posted as far as FEMA. They said eventually they hope to be in the community. They're not sure. They will set up eventually at the Putnam County Fairgrounds for people that want to come in and sign up. Okay, and so with that, I'm going to go to our, yes.
I have a question. So I don't know if this is something to bring up now or later in the meeting. I have some questions about the financial impact on the city of the storm. I don't know if we know that yet.
Pardon? Of course we don't. Our docks are all underwater.
Well,
We don't know. Well, that's, I mean, our city docks are all damaged.
Well, I kind of noticed that part. Can't see them on Crescent Lake. But as well, to talk about at some point, and maybe sooner rather than later, and maybe have a workshop on this, it just occurred to me that we did okay this time, but we can be in even worse shape. And do we need to talk about a communication plan, a backup plan, mutual aid with nearby cities? Because we were out, and I've lived in Florida my whole life. I used to live in a coastal community that got inundated by Helene, and I often thought about that in the past. So I'm just thinking at some point, either maybe at the end of this meeting or later, maybe we could share some thoughts about emergency plans.
I've spoken to Mr. Brillhart about that, and so we probably will have a follow-up workshop when we kind of have a better idea, and we can have staff in here also to tell us, where they saw some weaknesses, where they saw some strengths, so that we all have a better understanding.
But just as a resident, having been through this time and time again, when things get to a certain point bad, I think it would help us all, not just the city, but the residents, to have a backup plan as to, how we can find each other, yada, yada, yada. So, good, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, a lot of good takeaways from this. It was, I believe we lost, what did he say today? He thought 50 trees.
Yeah,
About 50 trees, private, and public. And that's what happened with FPL, is the main feeder line went down, and that's why, they had to get that secured and then had to get all the lines that were tangled in. It almost looks like we had little twisters that went through because they were tangled in that.
I really think what started, our feeder line went down on Old 17. Turned in by John Newbold and on Old 17 coming in. That line carried a lot of current. It was about 13,000 kV come through that line and went, and that basically controlled the feeders over here on by the cemetery. It controlled that. When that knocks out, that's it. And it was knocked out.
Yeah.
And they were doing, and it took a special cruise. You look up, you see right around the truck can't deal with that. Take a special cruise to come in and try to put that back.
That was your lifeblood for 40 plus years?
Yes, yeah. I found the homestead, everything was flat. The worker had to stay on a tent for about 3 months, so it was bad.
Yeah, we were very blessed.
Yeah.
We were very blessed. We had no casualties. There was minor damage to houses. And we do have tarps. We put that out there, I think, Karen. We do have some tarps available if anybody needs a tarp. Just reach out to us. Our phone lines were down, so I gave my city cell number for people because we had no phones. And we had several people that reached out and needed them, but we've been driving through the neighborhood kind of finding somebody else needs them. Anybody else have anything else? No other announcements? Okay. With that, let's go to our approval of our minutes.
I have some corrections
Okay.
on the regular meeting minutes, September 12th. On the second page, under public comment, the third name down, Kenny Evans Jr. I think that was supposed to be Mackenzie.
No, it's McKinley,
McKinley.
like President McKinley.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. So, and then on the public hearings, each one of the public hearings say first reading, and that's just a second reading.
Wait a minute. This is the regular meeting.
Was this?
This was first reading.
Yeah, she hasn't done anything.
I had the same thought.
Yeah.
This was actually first reading.
Well, then, one last thing on our city attorney, talked about, so 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down. Those 4 counts were against the sheriff and the remaining accounts. That should just be counts, not accounts.
You see that, Karen, where that is?
The city, under city attorney?
Fourth line down in the middle of the remaining accounts. Thank you. I was thinking it was.
Okay, you got anything else?
No, that's it.
Good. Does anybody else have any changes before we have a motion?
Mayor, I have a couple of questions, right here. So on page 1, and I don't really know how to answer this, but I don't think it's correct. It says, the last paragraph on page 1 says, presentation for city manager search process, Jim Hansen does not identify who he is. He's a senior advisor with the Florida City County Manager
Okay, so do you want to add that? You want to add that?
I think so, but it seems to me that some things, well, I'm not sure I really understand this. Under vote, said Commissioner Burton moved to approve the contract with Jim Hansen. Do we actually have a contract with them? I don't think we have a contract. And then is my recollection, I may be off on this, but was this the meeting that we approved? No, so that was the next meeting. Okay. All right, so just that we don't have a contract with them. It's an arrangement or agreement to use their services. Okay. There's that, and then they came back on September 30th, is that correct? Yeah, okay, I have the same time issue, because we had 2 meetings. Okay, and I don't know, just on page 2, under the Blue Ribbon Committee report, it probably should say Blue Ribbon Committee at least once. And then under vote says Commissioner DeVito moved to extend the date for the BRC. I guess it's understood the date for the BRC to function or to operate. Don't know. Let's see here. Then, also on page 2, where we have the interim city manager interview at 8 p.m. That was Mr. Brillhart. Hi, Mr. Brillhart. That was a good thing. I'm pretty sure that our city manager let us know somewhere in these meetings that the prior candidate that we made an offer to, had withdrawn. I mean, there's no explanation of why we're having another city manager interview, and I think the memo about that was for this meeting.
Okay, so Karen, do you want to just note, will you note that,
Right, and then did we not approve the hiring subject to background check? Pardon?
It says that.
It does say that?
yeah, subject to a background check?
Oh, there it is, sorry, I missed that part, sorry about that. Okay, on page 3, at the top, approval of contract for law enforcement services, where it says the written law enforcement contract with Putnam County Sheriff, does not specify that.
In the title, Karen, can you change that to with the Putnam County Sheriff's Office?
And the title of the game, yes.
Okay, and, I think that was all I had.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything? Okay, can I get a motion, please?
I move that we approve the minutes with the corrections.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved. Let's move on to our September 12th, 2024 CRA meeting minutes. Do we have any corrections? Any?
One thing I noticed is that they have problems with this. I move that we approve the CRA minutes with that correction.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Okay, so moved. We're gonna move on to open up our public comments. Topics not already listed on the agenda will be heard at this time. Comments, will be heard during public hearings. Comments regarding business items will be heard during business items. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. If you wish to speak, fill out cards, and we have cards. Dan Dodge. Mr.
Okay.
Dodge,
Mayor, that's for later.
okay, so you wanna come up with okay?
Uh,
Okay, and then my next one, I believe that handed it to me, was Jim Hammond. Please state your address if you will.
My name is Jim Hammond. I live at 123 Lakeside Lane. Most of these comments will be directed to Michelle Myers, Cynthia Burton, and her pet Tracy. When I moved here, the previous election campaigning was taking place, and I and many others had no knowledge of the two of y'all. Michelle Myers seemed to be a friendly person with a big smile and a kind voice, and I still remember her giving me a bar of soap as she asked me to vote for her. I thought that was pretty neat, nice little bar of soap. And I also remember both Michelle and Cynthia Burton telling me they were pro Crescent City Police Department. What a difference 4 years has made. You, the two of y'all, and your pet Tracy, have broken the sunshine law by not allowing the citizens to attend a commission meeting. You have lied to the citizens about supporting the Crescent City Police Department, which you illegally disbanded. Cynthia and her pet Tracy used code enforcement, threatened bodily harm, and harassment to keep her, get her way, and to keep her heel on the neck of the people in this town. And Mayor Michelle Myers does nothing to slow them down or to stop them. Nothing. And Michelle Myers has used her smile to waste hundreds of thousands of dollars that should have been used to help the citizens of this town. But they got not one red penny. You gave it all to your friends, the two of y'all, hoping, I guess you were hoping, some of it would come back to you in little brown bags. I'm not sure what, but I'm not sure why you just decided to give all this money away. All right, I truly believe the good people of this town have seen enough of the two of you misusing your power in your office. And come November the 5th, they will turn out in big numbers to relieve this town of the corruption the two of you and your pet have bestowed here. And when the new commissioners take office and the governor is asked to do a forensics audit of this town's books, the two of you might end up in jail for the corruption you all have done. So I am hoping this is the last time that I see either of y'all sitting in those seats. And to the good people of this town, please, November the 5th, go vote. That's the only way to end this corruption, is to go vote. I'm done. You got any questions? Oh, and I hope y'all appreciate my videos, because I'm having fun with that. Oh, and Cynthia Burke.
So you're done, your 3
My
minutes
time's
is
not
up.
up.
Yeah, it is,
Yeah.
your time is up,
Have you responded to my
Sir?
elections complaint I
Sir.
filed against you?
your time is up.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I'm gonna go ahead, Diane Sykes.
Okay.
Thanks, Crescent City, Florida. I was just wondering, I know we have a lot of debris, and I know the city workers that went out there, they got a couple of big piles out of my yard already. I was just wondering, do we have a time frame, when Waste Pro will be able to pick up the rest of the yard waste?
Okay, Waste Pro probably will not be picking up the yard waste. We're working with the county now to try to get debris haulers. Our, staff has been trying to alleviate as much as they can, and they seem like they, just like we did before, they go through, they pick it up, they come back around, and it's there again. And they put everything else on hold for right now. As far as the streets, and I know somebody made a comment about me raking the streets. The reason we're raking the streets or doing anything in the streets is because the street sweeper can't go through the streets with the moss, because the moss clogs it up. And so Cecil spends most of his time trying to unclog it. And so until the debris is taken and moved, we're gonna continue to have that moss out there, but they're working as hard as they can. The county, we reached out to the county, and they have said that we do get public assistance. FEMA said that as well. And so I know they're trying to get debris haulers. Unfortunately, our debris compared to other areas of Florida,
So what do we do with the moss?
so just pile it up. So if you'll take everything to the curb, and that's the recommendation that they've given us, and FEMA said the same thing. We can't go on your property and get anything, but if you'll take everything to the curb and leave it at the curb, eventually it's gonna get picked up. And if you'll recall back in Matthew, it was months. I think it was months. We're gonna work hard to make sure that doesn't happen. And get our streets looking back the way they should. But if you'd like in front of your street, if you wanna help out with that, please, by all means, get that moss out. I did in front of, Eva Lion, because there's so much moss that was there, and he just can't run that street sweeper until we get the moss out. So,
Okay, well, that's good to know.
yeah, and if you ever, Diane, if you have any questions, you can always reach out and we'll do our best.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Now, everybody just, we gotta be patient now. Kev T, you come forward. Please state your name and your address, if you please.
Good evening. Good evening. Captio, I'm not gonna need the 3 minutes. I'm here tonight to let everybody who's at home, who's here, who's watching, know that there just really isn't anything caring about a mayor that's suing 4 Crescent City residents over $46,000 for filing ethics complaints. If you have nothing to hide, then you should have no need for an attorney, let alone the same one that helped get rid of our police department, and let alone walk around everywhere, glued to the hips. So I'm committed over the next few weeks. I'll make sure everybody in Crescent City, not just people on social media, are aware of all the horrible things that have happened over the last 4 years against the citizens of Crescent City. There's just so much it wouldn't even fit in 3 minutes, so I'm not even gonna try. And I wanted you all to know that I filed a sworn grievance against the investigator, the one who admitted many of the documents that were submitted, the one who came down to Crescent City, didn't even notify any of the complainants that they were coming. I'll see you in Tallahassee. I hope you enjoy your last meeting up there tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad to see you in Tallahassee as well. Steve Kenworthy. There he is.
I'll wait till it's on the agenda to speak.
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you.
do I have anybody else from the audience that has not filled out a card that would like to come speak? Okay. With that, I'm gonna open it up to Captain Esri.
Hello,
Hello,
everyone.
Captain.
Hello, everyone. So you want to talk about the drug take back first, or?
Yeah, that'll be fun, yes.
Okay, I don't
sorry
have the
about
flyer in front of me, so you have the dates there, but I can kind of tell you what the program is about and also what the sheriff's office does,
that. Okay,
what we offer. Commissioner Vito actually reached out to me a couple days ago by
I think
email.
it was yesterday.
By email, was actually asking about this as well. She had some interest in it. It's just basically a program where people have unwanted, some people don't know what to do with unwanted medications, prescriptions, whatnots in their homes. HCA is actually doing this on a certain date. You have those there in front of you.
October 26th.
October the 26th. So we also offered at the sheriff's office during business hours. You basically walk in the front door of the sheriff's office into the lobby there, look to your right, and there's one of the old style mailboxes there. Now, I would ask if you're gonna take any kind of medications that would be like liquid or anything like that, because they could possibly be exposed, and bag it in something that where when it drops in there, something could possibly break if it's empty. Just take some precautionary measures before putting that stuff in there. But you just simply walk into the sheriff's office, you don't need to leave your name or anything like that. You just take the stuff, bag it up, and walk in there and put it in the mailbox. So any questions on that?
The only thing that is, I know Dennis did this one time, with the sheriff's office and some of the, organizations, is they did one here in Crescent City. I think you've done it up at Winn-Dixie too, haven't
We
you?
have,
I believe, so maybe eventually we can bring one to the community here, so
absolutely.
we'll work on that.
We haven't had too much of a success with it here. I think we did, last time we did it was for like 8 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't think the last time we did it, that maybe it wasn't publicized enough,
And,
but we didn't really, I don't think we got anything.
okay,
But like I said, we do have those options available, and obviously you can call, the sheriff's office and have a deputy come out if you need to get it, or he'll tell you what the process is.
maybe when you have your office here, maybe we can
That's the plan.
plan, we'll work on.
I was planning that here, however, when we put evidence / things like that in a secure facility, it requires certain measures, and it's very expensive to put it here. So it'll be a little more,
Okay, we'll work on that when that happens, thank you.
little
Thank you for
easier
the
to
update.
do over here. You got a question?
Anybody have a question? Commissioner Vito?
I don't really have a question, I just want to say the flyer was sent to me by SMA Healthcare. And I think part of the reason they have this one-day event, it occurred to me how much, not everybody would have the opportunity to do it, is just to raise the awareness about the problem of abuse of prescription drugs and the need to not keep unused items laying around your house. So I think that was partly their intent, raise awareness, and thank you very much for sharing what the sheriff does all the time.
Thank you very much. How about, trunk or treat? You kinda-
We've got that, if you
If we
wanna
have
do
that-
this, and then we'll do,
Okay, perfect. All right, so we'll start on our Crescent City report. This is the one case, and I said we have certain, you'll see in the next slide here, we have certain criteria that we look at. It's reported to FDLE, and when somebody goes on the website and looks at Crescent City, see what the crime rates are about. This is one of those things that are reported. Everybody talked about this gentleman, Steve Hall, who was one of our quote-unquote homeless people, which he does have somewhere he can stay, but he doesn't want to because he doesn't want to follow the rules. So we started getting the attention to him trespassing in different places. He's just about been trespassed from just about everything in Crescent City. On this particular day, he stole a bottle of water and went to jail. After 30 days of sitting in jail, I finally had to call the jail and tell them to let him out. And he didn't want to go because it's pretty comfortable staying there sitting on the street. So we just, Steve is back. You probably seen him
he
walking
is
around.
back, I tried to call his father for him the other day, he was worried about his father.
Yes. So I've actually spoke to him, asked him what his plan, and then still he's waiting on some check to get here or no, I'm not sure. We'll deal with Steve as we can, and try to get him some help and get him back on his feet or whatever we can. Any questions on that one?
Captain, what about Ricky? Did y'all ever?
Ricky's in a facility in South Florida.
Oh, he-
Yeah.
We gotta win. And from what I understand is, he had to have his other leg amputated. So I wish we would have had this success before, when we had him ready to go into a prosthetic, and he would have probably been walking again today, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. I think they had to amputate the other leg. So, but he is being taken care of. He's in a facility now. He's not on the street. So in a nutshell, that's a win for us. That's what we want.
And I commend you for that, because I know the hours and the time and the contacts that you made on his behalf.
It wasn't just us either.
I know, it was a lot of people, it
Family
was the
members had a lot to
community,
do with this, yes.
that you helped out tremendously.
So here's our traffic crashes. The first one we have with Summit and Grove. I don't know why this guy decided to do this, but the car was turning left on the Grove Street. The motorcycle tried to pass on the left, and the car turned into his path. Struck the motorcycle, he jumped back on the motorcycle and fled. We never found out who he was. And the second one is 308 Lime. That's out on Huntington, I guess it is. There's several different names for it. Huntington, 308, Vernon. So it was out that way toward the edge of the city limits. Vehicle was coming around the corner there, and the driver fell asleep, ran off the roadway, struck a power pole and the residence that's there. And it was minor damage. I mean, it looks bad, but he just kind of glanced off the pole and hit the side of the house, and the damage to the house.
Ran into the tree. I seen that. I said,
Yeah.
She drove in that tree. It stayed there for about 2 weeks.
Fortunately, nobody else was injured.
But look, that's about that.
That's your traffic crash data. Here's your general activities, your calls for service. Sorry for the projector here. Couldn't get the projector to focus. I worked with it for a few minutes, and this is the best I could get, best quality. I'm gonna have to revert to my computer real quick. I'm sorry.
I can see it now.
So you got 193. Now I get closer, and my eyes are bad up close. It didn't do any good. 193 calls for service. 57 of those were traffic stops. 2 traffic accidents, as you've seen. 12 total reports. 5 arrests. And 2 of those charges were filed in 2 different cases. So a total of 5 arrests, 2 were sent to the state for their process. Here's your 6-month crime comparison. Again, we're 100% increase with the 1 bottle of water theft. And that's all I have.
And that was for last month, so anybody that has any, except to say, you
Yes,
know, it's a report from the month prior.
Yeah, I've had a couple of people already inquiring about the break-in to the old Hank Bus. Where was that thing, the old Hank Bus?
Yeah.
So I had a couple of inquiries. That'll be the next month.
Well, Captain, let me ask you folks, deep potholes in the road. This one out there, just when you get to the school, going out towards Huntington Shortcut. They gonna knock somebody front end out of one of the cars.
I'll have to take a look at it.
On 308?
Yeah, it's on 308.
That would be us, maybe. Is it the county? Or is it out past?
Yeah, I think it's, I don't know where the county or state road.
Which school?
Milford.
Oh, yeah.
City.
Yeah, that'd be us. That's us. So,
Nobody's on the county road. State road.
on the county roads,
Yeah,
yeah.
308.
Keep.
Commissioner, I have to refer you to the City Commission of Crescent City.
So Keith will have to reach out to the county, and have them fix that.
Public Works.
Public Works, yeah.
I think there were some other things as well.
Commissioner DeVito?
I have 2 questions.
Okay.
With regard to Mr. Hall, is there any reason, that he should not be hanging out in the park near the children's play equipment, or does he not have any of those prohibitions?
No, he's not.
He's not prohibited from hanging out in
No,
the
ma'am.
children's area? Okay, just want to check, because he's frequently,
Right.
at least one of them. And then, you mentioned about the motorcycle that caused the accident, trying to pass at Summit Grove. Is that actually in an overpassing zone already?
I don't know why he was trying to pass. That's what I don't understand. The lady gave a signal, she knew, I guess he was thought he could beat her and they just,
Right, well, I guess the reason I'm asking is, I know that that's a problem in that area, it's been that way a long time. My late uncle and his wife had their car totaled by somebody doing pretty much the same thing, and then it happens, you know, even if there's not a wreck. But it's already supposed to be, you know, passing zone, I would assume. Okay.
almost certain everything all the way through there is no passing from when you come into the city limits.
Right, but
And you
it's,
get into that straightaway.
it's a problem. People say they get, you know, kind of run off the road. You know, where it narrows, people are very impatient. But, all right, that was all my questions.
I have, honestly, just in the last week and a half, this tree over here, and I know we've talked about that. I was even in Seville, they asked me to judge a tractor, parade. That was fun. That was a lot of fun, actually. And that was one of the comments somebody said to me. They said, you know, we love what's going on in Crescent City. Keep it up, but listen, there's a tree and a light that is causing, you know, it's scary. It's scary. So I know that's a discussion that we've had over and over again. We talked about putting up, a warning. Mr. Billhart was sharing with me that that's how much to get one of those if we did a sidearm.
Signal, traffic signal
yeah.
mast,
Yeah,
upwards of 100,000.
yeah.
Yeah, we need to make sure you.
Yeah, you might, you have to, sometimes you have to
Pull
pull
your
your
mic
mic down, the acoustics in here is a little difficult. He's soft spoken anyway. I saw that, Keith has something in his office right now that has a stop sign. I wonder if we put a sign down there or something, because,
We can get a yellow diagonal that says, you know, light ahead. It doesn't have to be an actual.
That's what I was just going to say,
Yeah.
traffic signal ahead.
Traffic signal ahead or something like that.
so we're gonna have to, we really need to do something. And you've spoken to me about that too. You have some concerns about it. And actually, it was the woman who spoke to me, her husband, that's what he does, is he's a liability adjuster.
Yeah.
And, and she said that, Winter Park, she said that's every time he sees that tree. So,
Yeah.
we just need to do something with it.
Didn't we already state that we wanted to have
Something
a sign
there,
there that indicated there was a signal?
We talked about it, and so I thought we did, so we just need to follow up with that, but I just, you know,
Just like the stop sign on Main and Central.
Well, I'm very cautious. I stop way back. They're almost trying to pass the barber shop. I'm scared the tree gonna fall.
yeah, and some people have said that to me too, that they're afraid, especially right now, nobody wants to park under a tree, walk under a tree.
Have we had an arborist look at that tree recently or do anything like that? I mean, that's a tree that's kind of broken in half. If you kind of look at the tree where it goes two different ways, it's pretty hollow right there. Have we had an arborist look at that?
Okay, I can speak to that. Okay. About 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, that tree and the one by City Hall were remediated by an arborist. I don't think I was on the commission then. They voted to have an arborist certified tree risk assessment, do some trimming and also some remediation with nourishment for the roots. The arborist who did that work has mentioned to me several times that it should be relooked at. And I brought that up with our former city manager, Mr. Rudd, several times.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I don't turn that blade anymore.
So,
It looks dangerous to me.
so that's the history of it, and I've communicated that to City Hall in the past several times.
Okay. Thank you. I have something else.
I feel like I'm missing something.
Trick or
I feel
treat.
like I'm missing
I
something.
know, there was something else I was gonna mention, but that's okay. Oh, we are gonna have we're gonna talk with Mr. Holmes too, and we need your input as well with the, new legislation
Oh,
and,
that's right.
and with our homeless, so,
Yes.
we'll be working on that. Okay?
No,
Everybody, any other questions for the captain? Yeah.
Trunk or treat.
I'm going to, I'm going to.
It was a fun
Yeah. We have any other questions regarding his report? Okay, none, thank you. Now let's move on to trunk or treat. I guess the hours we had last year were 6 to 8, is it my understanding that's gonna be, that's the recommendation that we currently have. Mr. Billhart?
So I spoke with Holly again today. I think Holly's been working with you, Karen, and the mayor, I don't know if he's the mayor, I haven't spoke to her yet. But from what I understand is it's gonna be the same thing as it was last year, 6 to 8 on Prospect Street, about there in front of the school. Did we see any issues, anything that needs to be tweaked or?
I don't think so. I was out there myself
Yeah.
last year and walking around with the kids and stuff and, not even recognize me, I was in costume, but anyway, I thought it went very smoothly the way you had it set up.
Didn't you change the direction of where the cars came from last year?
They actually didn't have any cars, everybody parked and everybody was walking.
Oh,
So everybody was walking.
Everybody walked. So they
I wasn't
walked
here
down
last
Central.
year, so I.
Yeah, it worked out great.
Yeah, they walked down Central and then they took a right on Prospect, walked down their road, their side of the road, and then came back around and walked down the rest. So, yeah.
So, yeah, typically South Prospect, that is the only thing is, and we talked about that last year, is just moving people, moving them down because all those homes down there are waiting. That's what they've done for years, is that's kind of the, yeah, but they love it. I mean, everybody loves it. It was, last year was a huge success, without incident that I was aware of. I know we had, one thing that y'all took care of that, but it wasn't, no, I mean, I think it's great.
The one concern I had was after the storms came through, we had a lot of loose limbs. The only one I see is, and I don't know when it's projected to be taken out, is the one there on Prospect Street, right straight in front of my office.
The cedar tree,
The cedar tree.
it should have been taken out yesterday. Keith is working on that right now and having that taken out. That's why we have the barricades and all there too, so that hoping the people won't come there. Right there at the Presbyterian Church.
And that was one thing I didn't think of that I thought about today that I'm gonna bring before you guys. If you guys ride around as much as I do and probably see a little more parts of the city than I do. I tried to ride around as many roads as I could this week, part of last week. And if you see anything that needs to be addressed, if we need to put tape up or something to keep kids from walking up under or anything like that, please get with me.
Okay.
Other than that.
Yes.
So traditionally, the city commission, apart from trunk or treat, which has been at Winn-Dixie or Wendy's and now the sheriff's office is holding it on South Prospect, but traditionally, the city commission votes to set the formal hours.
That's what we're doing. That's what we need to do. I'm waiting for somebody to make a motion. We said from 6 to 8.
I move that we set the trick or treat.
Do you want to do it, Commissioner? Yes, I love it. Okay, then please, by all means, go ahead. Okay, I need a motion.
I'm sorry, I thought we were just talking about trunk or treat, and I didn't want us to forget that. So I move that Crescent City Commission set the formal hours for trick or treat to be, I think it's Thursday, October 31st. Do I have that right? Thursday, October 31st, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion?
I think the tradition is, if you want children to come to your house, put your light on. If you don't want children to come to your house, turn your light off.
Or you go out to dinner?
Yeah. Or, well, if you don't turn your light off, they might leave you presents. In the old days.
Okay. With the understanding that children will be out a lot, some of the families, the younger ones, they do bring them out a little earlier. And I know y'all are usually set up there by a little after 5 o'clock. But those are the official hours. So we have a motion, we have a proper second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, so moved. Approved, thank you. And tell Holly, thank you very much. She's got her hands full in that. And so we appreciate.
Especially if she's due anytime.
She's due anytime. Yeah, she's due anytime. So. Okay.
Anything else?
Anything else of the captain?
There is one more thing I want to bring up that I've heard a little bit of on the streets about,
Yes, sir.
and that's about Florida and Maine. There's been some activity of Florida and Maine with people hanging out. And make no mistake, that's exactly what they're doing, is they're just hanging out, and I'm not gonna infringe upon that. There is a piece of property there, we've had a trespass warning on, I'm being respected there when we go there. I'm having no problem with anybody there. I've got permission from property owners to do whatever I need to do there. Do I think that there's some type of illegal activity going on? I've found nothing. I've utilized resources, I've done everything in my power to see what is going on Main Street, specifically in Florida, Main Street, and whatever the next one, I think it's Palmetto.
Eucalyptus.
In that particular area, and I can assure you, if there's something going on there, I will take care of it. I have poured out a lot of alcohol. I made some people kind of upset, but they don't want to say anything because they know that's an arrestable offense for me, so they let me do what I'm gonna do. And, just assure you that what's going on there is just people having a good time, from what I've seen.
But I do have a concern that when we leave here, that's how I go home. And there's a lot of times that there's people up on the porch and all hanging out at the Newman Lodge. And I know there's not a big trespassing sign.
They are not supposed to be on that
But
property.
the door looks like it's been, jimmied open, and I mean, they're up there hanging out on the porch, and that's the only time that it, was looked bad to me. So should I just call the sheriff's department
Yes, I check it constantly.
Yeah.
then? Because I mean, there are times there's like 5, 6 people up there just hanging out.
Yeah, call us.
Okay.
Yes.
And
And that's what happens when we pull up there. A lot of times we're trying to get out of weather. I don't know what it is, but when we pull up there, and again, when you say doors are jimmied, I confirm today that is secure and it's still secure. I see where there's some boards fell off. That was probably from the storm. That had some upper windows that nobody would be able to crawl into if you looked
I
out.
just want to make sure that that front door is secure, because
Yes.
okay. Thank you for keeping an eye on that.
yeah, I want legal signs. Businesses with big pieces of plywood, wrote on it, advertising what they're selling. That look ugly. To me, it does. I think we need, and we got a better sign order than that.
We did,
Okay,
we did.
well, we really need, and we need to care. The folks back on Main Street right there, I think it was 17.
Even if we can help them, there's signs.
Yeah.
Right there by the barber shop,
You know what I'm talking about, barber
the
shop,
barber shop,
Fire shop station.
all
the
kind of,
barber shop.
all kind of advertising signs, it's ugly. It really does, it just do something for the area, you see all them.
Yeah,
I was over there picking up trash today, so
yeah.
telling everybody how nasty they were for letting trash stay there. At least pick it up, you're going out.
The thing I said to Pam too is that, and I know you noticed this, so if you see anything, please let her know. We've got a lot of shopping carts out around town right now. So, we need to get those off the street.
I think that what we need to do is talk to the people, the owners of those carts, and come up with a plan with them, and start picking them up.
They can't,
Why?
because they're not, talking about Dollar General, I'm inquired. They depend on Good Samaritans with trucks. We would have to talk to the management of Dollar
Well,
General.
that's what I'm saying.
Right,
It's time to
because-
start doing that.
As I understand it, the employees don't have a way to do it, they're not allowed to do it. That's Dollar General. I don't see too many Winn-Dixie carts.
Well, for years,
Yeah, you're right.
Sam Williams, make all the time.
Yes,
When you pick him up, they gave him $1 card, but he just would do it until he retired, or he got tired of seeing him on the street.
they're all over the
Or
place.
they're
But we need to come up with a plan to get them off the streets. And we need to work it out with the owners of those cars. Just shouldn't be up to the city to do that for them. I mean, we could do it for them, but then maybe we need to, like you say, take down the cars or something, on Mount Street.
People are stealing the cards. It's not, I mean,
Case by case scenario. So what happens is you have, I know Lisa, so you can take your cart home and I allow you to do that because I work there and you're a friend of mine. But then other people, we're gonna say you can't take your cart home. That's one of the things we run into. And, if I want, and my feeling on it is if you're gonna allow these people to take carts home and bring them back and forth, then it should be good for anybody and not be subject to whoever you are. Now, is there a way we can get the carts back? Absolutely. They love to have them back and they probably love to get them back and they can have to deal with no cost to them.
Yeah,
And I'm all for a car roundup if we want to do one.
Sounds really cool.
We can do that, I'll work with
The,
him on that.
the idea though is to get something in place where it's not just once a year, that it's every week, yeah, it's a regular pickup, and again, it's not just us going out doing that for them. They need to, have some skin in that game, and, you know, there's ways to do it. I mean, you have, Sam's Club, for example, they have brakes on the tires, they can only go so far, you can't take it out of the parking lot. There's ways to do it, they can afford to do it, they need to start, we need to start putting some pressure on that.
I will make a statement. I had several people reach out to me Saturday evening and said that I was seen driving my golf cart with a beverage, an alcoholic beverage. Was not, and Commissioner DeVito, I appreciate you coming to my defense on that one. But, I was not, nor have I ever driven a golf cart, and it's my understanding if you do, that is a, illegal offense, correct? Okay, just for the record.
If I catch you, I'm gonna give you a ticket.
You're gonna give me a ticket, you're gonna give me a ticket, I expect that.
And actually, related to that, the golf carts, you know, I was out in Malacca the other day, and their golf cart community, actually, they followed us, I think, back in 2004. And all along 309, they have signs, no golf carts are allowed, on the main street, wherever it is. And I really think that we need to, we don't have anything posted anywhere that says no golf carts allowed in 17. And, I mean, that's understood, but I think we really need to revisit our golf cart ordinance and kind of start enforcing some things, because it used to be that you had to have an orange triangle on the back of it, and it has to have working brakes and all that kind of stuff. And there's some people out here that are driving around on the sidewalks and all that stuff, and we need to kind of revisit that, because I don't think we have in a while, and maybe tighten that up a bit. So I think the posting of the signs, I mean, go 100 feet down 309 and it says no golf carts, but I mean, at least you know, because it's dangerous.
We've had two fatalities so far. It's been very close to Crescent City, and the last one was actually right outside of the city limits, so yes, it's very serious. People don't watch out, people just don't pay attention.
If I could just follow up on what Commissioner Roy said about our golf carts and our ordinance. I don't know if he was on the commission then, but sometime in the last year or two, I did a whole memo on the fact that our ordinance is a little outdated. And as well, there's certain, we lack crossings where our ordinance suggests that we should have some provisions for crossing. And as well, I don't know, I think we need to look at it. I was gonna ask you, because I've seen you using your golf cart in a very legal manner that way, with water, I'm sure, Ricky.
Coffee, excuse me, coffee.
Or coffee, right, and chocolate. But it seems like if you look at our ordinance strictly and you look at where we don't have crossings and you look at where the county road is, where the speed limit is just 5 miles too high, that part of the town is cut off from the other part of the town as far as golf cart access. So I agree with Commissioner Roy. I think we should make sure our ordinance is up to date and that we have both the maximum accessibility, but that people comply with the law and be in places they should be.
And I think that's changed too. It used to be that 14-year-olds could drive golf carts, but now I believe they've changed that. You have to have a learner's permit. Right, so.
There's a lot of new laws.
Yeah, a lot of new laws, yeah.
Not just with golf carts, but with, yeah.
Side by side,
Side by side, everything, it's, pretty extensive. I have the booklet, so, yeah, we should have it.
And I have seen some close calls.
Okay.
Crescent City, so you want to cross all 4 lanes, the golf carts aren't as fast, and if you don't have a good charge on it, you think you can go and you're not going any faster. Anyway.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, with that, I'm gonna I'm gonna recess our regular scheduled meeting and open up our COA meeting. I don't know, Mr. Brillhart, do you want to present, or does Christina want to present?
Hi, Christina.
Hello, everyone. So before you have the Pam's Kitchen grant. You'll remember that it was recently approved, I believe, at the meeting before last, if I'm not mistaken. And, they've reached out to me, they're ready to commence the project. And I just shared with you what they sent to me via email. So they're asking for, half and half, I believe it was. They sent an invoice. The reason that they want to do this is because, it's a multifaceted project of sorts. There's lighting they want to purchase, which potentially could be through Amazon or another vendor, and then there's cafe tables and fencing and things like that, where they would need the money to purchase it themselves. The oldest son, Derek, is going to manage the entire project and, expedite it accordingly. And they've asked for you to approve payment in this manner. I know there's a paver project as well. The pavers we could pay the vendor directly as we have historically with this grant program. But, I believe, you should discuss it and see what works best. But they're asking for us to pay them directly and not the vendors.
Yeah, go ahead.
I understand, both sides, I understand how to do it normally. I know this is kind of a little bit different project. I think we all know the family, we all know Pam, we all know, the boys. I'm struck though, that it's like, I don't want to make a special procedure for them or something, but I think that we'd be secure in making the payment, and it seems like it'd be a heck of a lot easier than you having to run around and pay each, and, if they want you to get the stuff off Amazon, you have to go on page. I'm leaning towards just, let's do it, but, just kind of.
Don't we have a process?
Yeah.
How
We do.
and I think that we should stay with our process.
Well, we've done it both ways though.
We've never been presented with this type of project, wherein they want to make purchases at Amazon or separately. We've always dealt with the contractors directly, and there have been some projects in the past where we did pay the property owner directly.
So do we have what they're gonna want by Amazon and what they want to do?
They submitted an invoice and kind of broke down, itemized the Amazon purchases and whatnot. So the pavers, you'll notice the invoice that was attached to the memo. They asked for paver money, for paver, the pavers could be again paid directly to that contractor. That's understandable. The fencing, I believe, my understanding from them is that they're gonna purchase and install the fencing accordingly, little decorative fencing of sorts for the back. And then, the lighting and pergola, they'll be installing on their own. So they kind of just want some money to get started. They've been waiting for our fiscal year to commence, and, they asked me to present this to you, so.
I just want to say something to, the commission, and I'm living through this myself, is that we have to be, as much as we want to do everything we can for this, we have to be very, prudent that we follow our guidelines. And because there's criticism out there, and we don't want to subject them to it, and we don't want to subject ourselves to it, because that has happened with other ones that have reached out and have asked for this grant program. So my question to you is, I know it's burdensome on you, but do we have the ability for them to share with you what needs to be purchased? And I know we have an Amazon, Roberta, don't we have access to the Amazon, but we could purchase that, the fencing the same way, and then hand it over to them for installation. I mean, is that, I just know, commission, as much as we want to do this, we just really need to be prudent, because we don't want them to be subject to any criticism, and we don't want to put ourselves in that situation either, so.
My question is it seems as though they would like to do a lot of it themselves. And the problem with that though is, if something goes wrong, if something's not installed correctly, if the pergola is not done correctly, and it falls on somebody's head, or something. I mean, things, you use professionals to do this for reasons. The same thing with like, laying the bricks and stuff. There's a certain way to do it. I mean, if you see the bricks that we put down, in front of, there's definitely a way that has to be done so that it's decent, it's tight, everything is. Yeah, everything is flat so that, you don't have all these dips and things. So I really think that we do kind of have to follow our certain guidelines that we've been doing to do those things.
Yes.
One of my questions, and maybe I didn't write it down, I don't see the answer to it. One of my questions was, do any of these items, for example, the pergola, Mr. Burke was speaking to the safety issue, the pergola, the fencing, and the pavers, do they require permits? And I know we have our code officer here. Do they require permits?
We've never required a permit for any of the pavers that we've had,
You wouldn't need them for the pavers.
It's not
Okay,
it's
well, I
not
guess, I don't know about that, and I know, other commissioners just expressed concern about having the pavers done professionally, which I share that concern.
Mhm.
But my question was really, is a permit needed for a pergola or for fencing?
It depends on how big the pergola is, my understanding, and so if it's less than 150 square feet, so I don't know that they need it, and the other portion that they look at is it a permanent structure? Is it permanent or can it be removed? And so if it's not a permanent structure, Pam, what's 230 inches?
150 feet is what, 10 by 15?
10 by 15.
So, I mean, I guess I'm just trying to get at, is there any way that we can assure,
And we can reach
the
out.
safety of
I
construction?
can get that information. Again, I'm just relaying what was
Yeah.
presented to
Sure.
me, and I wanted, I obviously couldn't give them an answer, so I
Or
wanted
reach
bring it
out to
forward.
our county, they would be the ones to
Mhm.
issue the.
Yeah, I could find out if a pergola needs to be permitted.
Yeah, if it's temporary, then it's just like wall furniture,
Yeah.
We need a permit for it. It's not an accessory structure, according to our land development code.
Yeah.
I don't think we have the word pergola in there anywhere.
I can understand, the payments for the pavers, you're buying directly, you can get a better deal on those. Fences, in-house installations, our skilled team will perform all installations in-house. Are these people qualified to do all of this stuff? I guess is my question. We want to make sure that these people are qualified to do this correctly. That's really where I'm kind of at. I mean, it's one thing, we do a lot of work in our backyard. We install our own pavers, we install our own pergola. We buy a kit and we put our kit up and we have a few screws left over wondering where they went. Things like that, but that's kind of for our own benefit, it's our own place.
I understand.
This is for public.
I think we have to be careful, we got guidelines, and I think that we should more or less stick to those guidelines, that'll keep us out of trouble. Then we won't have John Doe coming in and saying, well, you did it for Mary and Martha, why you can't do it for Susie and Annie? See, so we have to kind of stay on the level.
Yep, I understand.
Because people look at everything.
Mhm.
Little
I
thing
did-
that you think they wouldn't look at, they rake it out from under the rug. So long as we stay level, we free.
Okay. I did originally, when they asked me how this all takes place, I did explain to them to submit an, invoice or your contractor's invoice for each step of the work, and we'll pay the vendor directly. And then this was what I got in reply to that, so,
I think if you can explain, and they're such
Oh,
wonderful
yes.
people that we explain to them that this is for their protection as well.
okay,
Because just based on past history, recent past history, we don't want them to be subject to any of that.
okay. So I should get with them moving forward, and we'll come up with a plan, and, whether it be via Amazon, paying a paper company direct, and then I'll.
Because we've already approved this project.
Yes.
So that's just, now it's really up to you,
Expedite
to expedite it. Isn't that, how we all agree? Do we all agree on that?
Commissioners, in addition, the grant is at 50%. So if you said decide to give out the 50% up front, in order to get the remaining 50%, we would go out and do an inspection, make sure the pergola was constructed according to the Florida Building Code, so on and so forth, so that it's a safety measure. That's just something I want to throw out that we have that capability of doing.
Yes, sir.
So, trying to be.
I know we want you to be, please.
Trying to be very reserved with the comments. First of all, the idea of complying with your procedure is basically non-negotiable as far as I'm concerned. You've got procedures established for your grant awards and disbursements. There's not a lot of, in my opinion, room for you to deviate from that. Secondly, commercial places, structures, sites fall under different rules under the Florida Building Code than do residentials. So it is really important to check with the county to determine whether or not there are permits required in a commercial setting for things that might not otherwise require a permit in a residential setting. Lastly, inspections are a two-edged sword. If you're giving somebody money and they're on a grant and they're going to construct something, and they construct something and it turns out to be not safe, but they comply with applicable building codes, while anybody can sue anybody for anything in today's world, still your basis of liability is more limited. Once you undertake to inspect that property and pass it, now you've taken on liability for having basically certified that that property was safe. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it is a two-edged sword. And I don't know who you have that's qualified to inspect. And I'm not saying you don't have, I just don't know. I don't know who you have that's qualified building inspector. They're not a dime a dozen, certified building inspectors. So having said all that, I guess bottom line, to try to sum it up and avoid being accused of doing too much lawyer speak. One, make sure you comply with your procedure that you already have established in terms of your grant disbursement. Secondly, I would check with Putnam County Building Department and find out whether or not there is a requirement for inspections and or standards for the things you're talking about, pavers, pergola, whatever, in a commercial setting. Because you're right, 150 square feet or less in a structure in the county is normally, you don't require a permit. However, for instance, you can't act as your own contractor in erecting structures in a commercial context. You have to hire a building contractor. So, that's about I don't want to go too far in making statements of that nature, but I think it's really important that you check on that. So I understand the idea of not wanting to make things unnecessarily expensive for folks, I get that. But there is that balance.
Okay, I know how to move forward now. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna close out our CRA. Scheduled meeting. Mr. Grillhart, I'm gonna hand this over to you with our business items.
Yeah, the first item is approval of the street closure for Yappy Hour and Pet Parade.
Operate. All right.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to, go ahead and close the street for this very special event. This was a lot of fun from what I understand last year.
I'm glad to be a judge.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I'll make a motion to go ahead and close it and let's do it.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioners, do we have any discussion?
On the street closure.
I just have a question, and I think there might be public comment.
Oh, I'm not sure.
So my question is, for any boats are we gonna have signs up that let people know to park before 4 o'clock? In other words, boats that are down at the Crescent Lake Boat Landing,
They can still get out.
or, right, but they'll have to go another way, right? So I don't know if it's gonna make a difference how they park, I guess you won't want them parking, they'll have to park south of Lake Street, right? Because, you know, sometimes people park farther up the street, but it seems like, they might appreciate it if we would put some sign up,
Okay, some signage.
let them know,
Christina.
you know, that you've got to exit.
We will. And also, until we got the approval and of course with the storm, if you'll let the homeowners there, know, they'll have access. I mean, this is such an easy, I mean, it's quick and the street opens up as everybody marches down. But they'll have, ingress and egress, there's no problem with that, just make sure. I know Holly is working with, our canines, to have them there. They were there last year and they were a big hit, yeah. 3 of them. One of them won one of the awards, yeah. And they got their paw prints, so you can come out and you can get your paw prints. There are a few vendors there, so, Three Bananas, you know, thank Three Bananas too, because they really do host this. They put a lot into it, so. Yes,
So is this a Saturday?
it's a Friday night,
It's a
Friday
Friday
evening,
night,
next
okay.
Friday evening.
Got it, okay. Somebody is tying it right now.
So the lake might not be down yet. We have public comment on this, we have public comment, Ms. Sykes. And no cats, I'm sorry, it's no cats. This is a discussion we had last year with the dogs and the cats, some of them just don't mix well.
When you said the street closures, I was just wondering what streets are gonna.
From Park Street down to Lake, down Central Avenue. So it's just a one block.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So in front of the spray house.
Yes, yeah.
And there's one homeowner there, right?
Well, there's actually one homeowner and then there's a renter, I believe, at the spray house. Okay, and I have a motion. We have a motion.
And a second.
And a second.
Who
I
seconded?
said,
I did. Oh, okay.
Commissioner Burton first and Commissioner Lori seconded.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Okay, so moved.
And for the record, my cats really don't want to come.
My dog last year didn't want to come either.
Yes, the next item is the special events, Veterans Day Parade. Mr. Kenworthy, would you like to speak? Yes.
Steve Kenworthy, 190 Crescent City. It's with great a deal of sadness that I have to tell you that we have to cancel the parade for this year. And I'm gonna give you a list of reasons,
Oh, no.
but we have formulated some things for next year. Hopefully we can make them happen because, first of all, we don't have any volunteers. We had 3 volunteers that are no longer with us, 2 moved and 1 died. That leaves 3 of us, okay? 3 people can't make this happen, guys. Just can't, with class, the way it should be. As a veteran myself, I'm ashamed, okay? I will not be involved in anything that's not done properly. So, I've had some input from one of the other commissioners, and I think next year we will do a parade. We're gonna have to start about 6 months ahead. But we'd also like to do, at that point in time, a lunch after the parade at Eva Lions for veterans only. Now, I do need the commissioner's help with an idea. I would like you guys in the utility bill to have the veterans call me, put my name and phone number in there if you like. Have them call me so I can make a list of them, where they live and their phone numbers, so we can get something going in this respect. With all the things that's been going on lately around here, we can't go out and knock on doors and ask for money. We have one sponsor, last year, and they'll be there for us next year too. South State Roofing. They paid everything last year for what we did, okay? Plus they bought the shirts, and the shirts are extremely expensive, the way we had to design. But the shirts are not dated, which is really cool, because we can use them multiple times. So if you guys would see it that way and help us out in that respect, I would really appreciate it.
I have a question for you, Steve.
Yes.
How far out do you reach, to all the veterans in the area? How far out do you go?
I think we should do Seville to Pomona Park.
Okay.
If we can make that happen, I don't know how to make those other two happen, but I think we need that because there's a lot of veterans naturally live out in the county.
Well,
They don't live in the city.
they don't live in the city, because I'm really not sure if the numbers in the city, are big enough to kind
Well,
of keep this thing going.
I understand, I agree, but we have to start somewhere.
And I understand that too, but
I,
you need to probably take that somewhere, right, and start reaching out to
Right.
bring, more, to get more people involved.
And we do have the backing of the ROTC at the high school and the band. I've already kind of talked to them last year about doing it this year. They don't know that we're canceling right now, but I will let them know. But the sad part is, I've reached out to AMVETS, and they're in Palaca. I couldn't even get a return phone call. I don't get it, but I think they are not doing what their little logo says. I'm not a member of AMVETS. I'm not knocking them, but hello, I'm trying to do this. Can you please give me a call back? Never happened.
The Women's Civic Association had a fair out there, it's been about 3 or 4 months ago. And that place was packed with veterans. They brought a major in from somewhere he spoke. To me, the veterans.
At the fairground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
No, I know.
No, it was over here at this Women's Civic Association.
Oh,
they're
the city.
building.
Okay.
And it was packed with veterans. Cause almost everyone we had to shake their hand and tell them we appreciate them for serving. But we really love. That's why.
Was it announced around here anywhere?
Oh, yeah, they never went out. We had to do a lot of research to get some of the veterans there, though, but all ages was there.
I guarantee you, my guys, the ones that our three volunteers, none of them had a clue.
Well, and that's what I mean, I don't know if we, I know they're out there. I mean, every little town, every
Right.
city, there's a place to go get a drink, VW.
Well, post signs at the Eagles Club and at the Moose, maybe that might get them, I don't know, but.
But they're out there, is what I'm
Right.
saying. And it's just a matter of trying to figure out how to.
So let me ask you a question. And we have a new veteran that's new and he probably would get involved too. And, I know he's a Navy man, so I'll make sure I introduce you to him.
Thank you.
And I don't know, I know that when Veterans Day comes along and sometimes they reach out and if we were to advertise something, would you like us to go ahead and just approve the parade just in case something miraculous happens and you have,
That is it causing any, I just don't want it in print because we're just not gonna have, if you wanna do that, we would appreciate knowing that you're behind us.
Yeah. Oh,
But,
absolutely, we've always been behind it, the commission's always been behind it.
right, you were last year too. We had it on the reader board, we did lots of stuff, we had the police and fire coverage,
And I'm not making an excuse, the storms, these 2 back-to-back storms have really just kind of messed up a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're not operating under normal operating procedures.
Nobody is. That's right.
Captain Esri, can you weigh in on this for us?
Come on. Come on.
I would just caution, and he's kind of said it himself, is if you put something out there, this is gonna happen, people are gonna show up and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I just
And
wanna
it's gonna
make
be
sure.
it's gonna be your fault that it didn't happen.
Yeah, let's not
Okay.
engulf
I
the
just wanna make
commission in
sure.
any more nasty issues.
I
I think y'all do agree.
Commissioner DeVito?
To help Mr. Kenworthy and his other volunteers get started, is it possible that we could authorize the city staff to put a message in the water bill that Mr. Kenworthy would like to hear from veterans in our area, Crescent City veterans and in the area? Because I guess gas customers look at it as well. To basically just work with Mr. Kenworthy to have a message, and that would get him started.
Yeah.
And they don't have to contact City Hall, he's been willing to put his name and number in there.
Ms. Gohart, can we put that in our? Okay, thank you.
Just to get the ball rolling.
Okay, so we're going to, I guess with that, we need to,
But there is the event at the high school.
There is the event at the high school.
Before, so maybe we should all go for that.
the events at the high school, so, yeah.
I just gave you the information.
Okay, so Commissioner DeVito suggested, and Mr. Brillhart agreed that we're gonna put it in your telephone number, now be careful. Your telephone number.
It's a 352 number, they won't associate, they think I'm in Ocala or somewhere, whatever. Thank you very much, I appreciate that.
No, thank you.
I thought I'd better share the news and, you know, it's not something we want to cancel.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we've been trying to make this thing continue to happen for a few years now, and I don't want to see it disappear because there's too many things else disappearing around here. Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Okay. You wanna go to the,
Yes, the next item is dealing with the American Rescue Plan Act funding balance. Just a reminder that the United States Treasury through the ARPA Act distributed approximately $763,000. There's $768,000 to the city to be able to be used for the projects eligible under the ARPA Act. As of this time, about $573,000 has either been expended or appropriated, meaning it's been identified through an approval by the city commission to be used on projects. That number, 573, includes the recently approved $120,000 for the historic report survey to be done on the property across the street, along with the title search. So as of that, there's a balance somewhere, we're looking at around 195,000, actually it's probably less. And as when the commissioners, DeVito had mentioned, there had also been some usage of ARPA for fire hydrant projects. We've expended about $55,000 for important fire hydrant replacement and or repair. We have about 5 that need to be fixed. Thankfully, those will be done according or in consistency with the Prospect and Main Street water line replacement projects. So those funds won't have to be used for ARPA. But having said that, we do have some projects that are critical for engineering design for water and sewer line replacement. These would allow for both water improvements for the distribution system, including fire protection, and of course the required collection system for us to be able to treat waste coming out of the home. So having said that, we've identified 5 projects that we would like to be approved for an addition to the ARPA list for the city of Crescent City. And those are listed below, A, B, C, D, E, including the North Tower Water Main Project, the Grove, Lake Argenta Water Main, the Cherry Street Sewer Line Extension Project, which is a critical project for sewer line extension in that particular area. Lake Street Water Main Project and South Tower Water Distribution Line. These numbers that you have here for cost estimate are simply to begin and complete the engineering design phase. This will not get any of these constructed. Some of these we are going to be requesting as part of the legislative appropriations request with the state legislature, which will begin in November for the actual construction dollars. But having said that, these are the projects that we've identified that we would like to see completed as part of the ARPA dollars. Having said that, not all of these projects, which equal up to about 353,000, will be able to be expended under ARPA because we simply don't have enough. What we as staff are recommending is that as each project gets underway, that our utility staff and water staff, public works staff, look at which of these projects are going to have the highest benefit and value to move forward for the design phase. So that's a summary. Would like to have these recommended being added to the ARPA appropriations funding project list.
Okay.
Commissioner DeVito.
Yes, okay, so, Mr. Brahart, you have just stepped into this. It's my understanding from the prior meetings where we discussed this, that, time is critical for us to actually let contracts for these projects because Mr. Rudd looked into it. We had updates from the League of Cities, the Treasury regulations changed. It was my understanding that we need to choose projects to fund so that you can actually let the contracts for the design, that has to be done before December 31st, if not earlier of this year. That in other words, the time for recommendations is done. That is my understanding. And at the last meeting where you weren't with us yet, I think what the mayor said and the rest of us agreed with her was that we wanted to take, have a little time to consider the list, but that, Mayor, am I correct on that? We have to decide.
Yes.
And we have to choose which ones, and I've done a little bit of, addition that's not gonna come out perfect. But that's my understanding of where we have to be as a city.
Is that, like Mr. Grillhart, I know you're familiar with these ARPA funds and you've worked with these in these other communities, so.
Yes, funding has to be appropriated or / budgeted, identified before December 31st of this year. And of those funds that have been budgeted under the U.S. Treasury to this particular community would have to be all expended by December 31st of 2026. And any funding that's been given to the city that has not been expended at that time, we have to go back to the U.S. Treasury.
And that's by 2026, correct?
2026, yeah, it has to be expended.
That contract on it, right? We thought, that's what we were talking.
So what happens if if we enter into these contracts and something doesn't pan out with that contract? And then there's that money still there, can we reappropriate that money?
You would have to do so by the end of this year. If, as an example, under these 5 particular projects, which would all be for the same company, we sign off on the architectural design and we start going down through there and getting the projects approved. When we have no more ARPA monies, we say you can't do this project because they know it's coming out of our ARPA.
That's my, I know the Cherry Street, we talked to Keith about the Cherry Street, sewer line. So right now, we don't have a sewer line down there, they're looking to put 13 homes in. And they have the opportunity, the ability to put septic tanks in there and not sewer lines. And so that's a big concern that we have, but Keith was also saying that it will not only benefit those 13 homes, but there's the additional homes around there and anything else that's gonna be built
Yes,
that they could tie into that. However, like with what we've got for the 43,300, that project, and we've agreed, I believe the Cherry Street developers have agreed to split that with us. If we go forward with this, it's gonna be more than the 43.3. So,
This is just design.
yeah, so that's just design, it's not design and construction. So, I mean, and with all of these funds, I mean, that's something that we need to think about because it needs to go to, of course, the public good. And that's what we've all tried to do, is to make sure that it goes to the public good and, or to benefit the safety. Another thing I just found out, and of course, these are our learning, opportunities, is that we have quite a few lift stations in town that, they don't have generators.
I'm sorry.
They don't have generators.
Okay.
And that is, you know, in a crisis situation, the power goes down, you know, our staff was running, back and forth with generators, trying to make sure that they were, those lift stations were operating, accordingly. And so,
How many of those could you have?
probably five
Five
that do not have, at least five that don't have generators.
Okay, so let me just, let me get this, I don't see five on my sheet on here, so it must be, this is.
I didn't, it's not on there.
What's that?
The generators are not on there.
I know the generator, but the five that originally we were talking about, I only see three.
You don't have North Tower, Main, Grove, Lake Argenta, Cherry Street, Lake Street, Main, and South Tower water
I
distribution.
don't have the Lake Street or the South Tower. So the two that were added comes out more than the $195,725. Is that what I'm understanding? And how much more does that come out to be? Oh, thank you.
Oh, much more.
353,500.
So it's more than, what,
So,
250,000 more.
so we have the,
This is right.
Mayor?
yes,
Okay, I looked up, I have Mr. Rudd's memo from September 19th. And if I'm reading this correctly, it looks like it's the same 5 projects, except we funded on a memo of September 19th. Mr. Rudd had first complete the feasibility study for middle school acquisition, 120,000. We voted to fund that. And then when I look at that memo from the 19th, it says North Tower Water Main Improvement Design. And Mr. Brohart has North Tower Water Main Project. Then the second one from Mr. Rudd was Grove Lake Argenta, Second Avenue Water Main, then Cherry Street, then Lake Street Water Main Replacement Project Design, then South Tower Distribution Loop Design. So I know we have a lot of paper flying around, but I have the same 5 projects from Mr. Rudd's memo of September 19th to the memo from October 4th. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of paper that we've looked at on these projects, but I do have 5.
that's what we have.
Mayor, could I ask a question about the generators?
Yes.
Okay, do we know for the 5 generators, I guess those would be, in location generators, they would be fixed? Do you know how much those are?
He's working on that now.
Any ballpark idea?
No, he doesn't know because they're different sizes with the lift stations. So he's gonna have to do an assessment on what capacity that those generators would have. So he said, that he's working on that, but that's just something that, you know,
Well, that's important.
that's very important.
It is incredibly important, especially if you do not live at the top of the hill.
You know, the water system keeps working, but our wastewater system doesn't.
Right, so Mayor, when I add it up, the first three come to 162,300. So that would leave $35,000 unspent. I have no idea how much those generators are.
Well, we're not gonna be able to do the generators in this. I think that unless, well, for government is one of the main projects.
Well, my thought is,
Correct, we're,
I don't know, my thought is, even if we have to have a special meeting to decide this, I would like to know how much we need to spend for permanent generators. And, you know, is it going to be something that's easy to afford from other funds we have? Or is this going to be maybe the most feasible source of funds for generators for lift stations?
Do those generators have to be purchased through the ARPA funds?
No,
But
I
that's
was
what
just
I'm
saying,
saying.
no, that's what I'm just saying, so.
I'm saying, how much
That's something that's a need, that is a need, and so,
in 2004, we had 14 lift stations that had their generators. So we got a lot better.
yeah.
We used to have to go around and
I
plug it
think
in. and plug it out.
tonight, I don't think we have a lot of time to have another meeting over these ARPA funds, okay? So I think we really should focus on what it is we really want to spend the ARPA funds on tonight.
I think the first three projects we need to.
And and the generators are important, so don't get me wrong, but that could be for another meeting, once we decide how to disperse this money.
But I guess, Mayor, if I could,
Mhm.
my concern is we just have no earthly idea on how much the generators would cost.
No, you could go, I mean, he was saying anywhere, you know, upwards of about $9,000 possible.
Per generator. Okay, so in other words, if we did
Yeah,
the
it's
first,
not 100,000, you know,
Okay,
you're looking at
that-
possibly $50,000.
that's what I wanted to know, if they're in the ballpark of $10,000, actually, if we funded the first three projects on this list, we would still have $35,000 left over, and that could go a long way, maybe if that price tag is accurate, toward the other generators. I just wanna make
The
sure.
other thing to keep in mind too, and I'm not trying to throw, but with the Cherry Street Sewer Line Extension Project, he was saying that was possibly going to be about $75,000.
The 75,000 would be if all of those homes were to go into an updated septic system.
Yeah.
But again, not knowing if that's going to be the case, or if it needs really more efficiently to have a sewer system.
Yeah.
We already have a sewer line right now, though.
No, we don't.
I thought it was just gonna be a replacement for a bigger one. Okay, 'cause that was.
We don't have one that goes that.
Yeah.
So the ones that are on the front would have to have that, it goes 200 feet, so some of them would have to tie in anyway. But, I mean, we'd rather have the sewer line than we don't need to put in septic tanks.
No, we don't want septic tanks.
No.
Yeah. We don't want septic tanks, I think that's what we said too, and that's what he said as well, so, I mean, this is something that, Mr. Rohart, knowing that our engineering, this is gonna be within an hour, that, we commit these, to them, and I guess as these projects, you know,
We have been very successful, you know, getting these projects shovel-ready. And then we have been very successful, once those are shovel-ready, in getting grants and other monies to.
for the legislature.
Yes, so I mean, we have to really keep that in mind.
You were asking about the cost of the Cherry Street to do it, to build it?
For the entire cost.
Yeah, it's 680,000 to build, according to the memo here from the town.
For the entire cost of that, for Cherry
For
Street.
the construction costs,
Okay.
based on their estimates, there's that.
Okay,
It's at the bottom of the first page on each one of them, it tells you the construction cost.
yeah,
So it's 680 for that, and then we're supposed to be splitting that with developer,
we're splitting the development.
and then the rest of it should be coming from the sewer expansion fund, on our side.
So do you have a recommendation for us as far as, I know this is the recommendation for the 5, but do you have a recommendation that we separate just these 3? Or do we do all 5, commit to all 5 with the understanding to Jason that, when he runs out of funds, he runs out of funds?
All 5 of these are important.
Yeah.
None of them, well, I won't say none of them, but when you prioritize them, they're all highly needed for water and sewer. Fire protection for water, sanitary to be able to collect and distribute to the wastewater treatment plant. So what we can do is identify all 5 of them. If you want to recommend, as an example, the first 3, based upon availability of ARPA dollars, and then the remainder, if there's anything left over after we get them designed, that we take those on as the backup projects.
Okay, because one of these might fall out.
One of the, Cherry Street could
Cherry
fall
Street.
out, we're not sure.
We're not sure yet, but Cherry Street could fall out, so. I mean, that would be my recommendation as well.
Yes,
sure.
yeah,
So,
because like I say, I think the shovel ready with the possibility of moving forward with getting grants, I really think that's important for us.
do I want to make a motion?
I make a motion that, I move that we approve the expenditure of ARPA dollars to the first 3 projects, which
You have
are.
a hand up?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Wait, I need a motion first, and then I'll acknowledge public comment. So just give me a second.
I move that we approve the expenditure of ARPA funds, the North Tower Water Main Project, the Grove Liverton Second Avenue Water Project Main Project, and the Cherry Street Sewer Extension Design.
I'll second that.
With the remainder being, on the other 2 things, how do you say that?
Right,
How do you want to say that?
Is that, it might not be in his motion.
I was just going to do the first 3, and then that leaves us 33,000, we have to, there's no reason to fund part of the project.
But no, you heard what he said, that one of these might drop out,
So I was
So
going to fund the
please.
first 3, and then keep going.
but we have to have it committed, so if one
Yeah,
drops
you have
out,
to kind of commit it somehow.
and we don't have it committed, then we will have a possibility of losing those funds.
Right, I understand that. I just don't understand how you want me.
Okay, so,
The last 2 is options depending upon availability of funding after the first 3.
Then I will add that to my motion. So the last 2 is options that, pending funding availability.
okay.
Oh, yeah, I'll second it.
Yeah.
Well, I did second that, but I have a
And
question.
we've got some discussion, yes. Go ahead.
So my question is, how would a project, this is scope of work this is design work.
This is all designed to make it,
So why would there be a design project that would fall out or not?
because Cherry
be
Street come
feasible?
to us and say they're not willing to work with us on this, and they'll go ahead and they could go ahead and build with their septic tanks, correct?
Yeah, they would have to install septic tanks according to the Florida
Okay,
building.
Yeah.
Right, but the thing is, North Tower and Grove Lake Argenta, those are our projects, are they not?
Yes, those are our.
So how would they all of a sudden not become feasible? And I guess my concern is that number D, Lake Street Water Main Replacement, the quote for that, for the design is $135,000. The numbers don't work out there. Like if,
No, the numbers don't work out.
right, so it seems to me that if Cherry Street, if the developer decides they don't wanna do Cherry Street, and I'm sorry not to look at y'all, but I'm trying to look at my list of projects. Seems like the South Tower Water Distribution for 55, that one would work out. As Commissioner Lori said, how do you partially fund a project that's $135,000 and you only have,
Well, the
Yeah,
thing
so
is,
much
the money would be dedicated there, and who knows what's gonna come up next year?
Well, no, but we have to,
Money, you know,
That's correct.
but we have
That's-
to, we have to have the contract
It has to be spent, basically.
by the
They have to
end
have
of
the-
December.
Committed.
You have to have it committed
No, but
through
committed as in
2026.
a
No,
contract.
no, we have to have it spent by 2026.
Yeah, we have to have it spent.
Committed by this year.
But we have, right, you have to have it committed, it's just,
Yeah.
okay, Lake Street, the $135,000, just to me, is not really feasible. I would put South Tower first.
Okay, so move E up to D?
Yes,
Okay,
and I guess that's by way of an amendment to the.
yes, that would be,
Or can I just restate my motion?
you can, whatever whatever your pleasure.
Yeah, okay, blah, 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 with E, with the lake, with the
South Tower.
South Tower, water main project before the Lake Street in preference or order, whatever.
Now, is that clear?
Yeah, she's got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is reordering the projects, is moving the projects, but reordering them so that E is D and D is E. Does that make sense? Okay, and I will second that.
So you have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion before I open it up for public comment? And even if we don't get legislative funding for these, which we will be asking for, there's that opportunity for grants too, because these are all, they're environmental issues and public safety issues, so, public water safety. Okay, I'm gonna open it up for public comment. If you would, please come forward, state your name and your address if you will.
Diane Sykes, Chestnut Street, Crescent City. Does the Prospect Street include fixing the stormwater issue at John Tatum's?
That's not on here, that's not on here.
That's not one of the five? And
That's
if not, why are we not taking care of the existing customers, like, the ones that don't have sewer yet? Why are we catering to the developers, putting in sewer for them, and we still have the residents living
Oh,
in Crescent
Ms.
City?
Sykes, we're not putting in, we're not catering to a developer. What we're doing is we're trying to protect the city from having more septic tanks placed amongst our community.
Why would we not address the ones that are there and use that money to help the existing customers that have septic get on city sewer?
Yeah. And we usually ask, and that's a legislative thing that we've asked for in the past, that we do, there's a septic to sewer project that we ask for. And so that is something that will always be, I think we'll always be asking for that septic to sewer.
The
Funding
real
for that
key,
and grants.
the real key is with new development coming in, they have two options. We can either put a sewer system in for them, which is the best option for the city. Or they can put their stuff on a septic system, which eventually down the line, we're gonna have to change to a sewer system. So it's better to just start that way with a new development.
Well, I understand that, but what about the existing citizens that need sewer and
She says
stormwater
that,
issues?
that we work on that every year.
But you're talking about stormwater.
And so
Stormwater,
we have
sewer.
citizens in Crescent City that are not on sewer, that have septic
You're
tanks.
talking about John
Why
Tatum.
are we just dealing with new construction and not dealing with the citizens that need that now?
If you-
And citizens that have existing
Can I
stormwater.
finish we are dealing with Mr. Tatum's stormwater problem.
Yeah, we're.
It is right now being funded through Better Place Plan money. It is in process.
So budget.
It's in the budget,
budget.
and they're currently working on designing a way to fix it.
But
So,
that's not sewer.
that's not sewer, that's stormwater,
That's
and we
stormwater.
are taking care of it. So,
Well, does he have
And,
sewer?
and the other thing you have to remember is that it's better if we catch them before they put it in, because we'll be in the same situation with them that we're in with those that you're asking about, why are we not converting them? Because we'll eventually have to convert them as well. So if we can catch them on the front end and not on the back end, we're in a better situation there too. So,
and we're not doing it for the developer's
No.
paying for half of it.
yeah, we're not doing anything for a developer.
We're putting in a sewer line that will service new homes instead of septic tanks. And we are dealing with stormwater issues as well at the same time. So we're trying to help
It's just
everyone.
been years and years since that issue's been going on.
Well, we're trying to fix it. It's not just an easy shovel in the ground thing. but there's money budgeted for it right now, it is in process. They tried to fix it one way and it did not work, so we're working on a better way.
And
And we have money set aside to do it.
That's the TAM project.
That's the same
Yes.
project.
yeah,
Ms. Sykes is
Which
talking
is a
about two
stormwater
totally
issue.
separate issues.
Right, and that's what I was trying to explain.
We got a lot of plates in the air.
And it's much cheaper to put in a sewer line than to replace and put the sewer after the fact, when we have people already on septic tanks and you have to dig up the whole road.
I don't care, it's cheaper. Larson, this is a little better.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other public comments? Anybody else on this? Okay, I'm gonna close public comment. Thank you, Ms. Sykes.
Just to jump into the discussion, I do think that Ms. Sykes has a good point. I think it's a fair question. And it's kind of a Hobson's choice, you know, do you work on the existing ones? Because it's not fun to have a septic tank. As you know, there's expenses associated with it. And personally, to me, I think the fact that we have sewer is a big selling point for Crescent City that we ought to advertise more. Because you don't have to worry with all that. I would like to see, I know that we have a priority list somewhere. I would like us to see that at some point. But this is something that the city manager recommended to us. You know, I think it would be good to relook at the priority list. And just to refresh ourselves, let us know where we are.
Thank you. Okay. Any other comments? I have a proper motion and a second. Karen, if you'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Barton?
Aye.
Commissioner Banks?
aye,
Commissioner Ward?
Aye.
Commissioner DeVito?
I,
Mayor Myers?
Aye. Okay, so approved. And just to follow up on that, like I stated a little while ago, Ms. Sykes, that he said that if this Cherry Street project, if it does happen, then there are several other houses there on Grand Rondo that can tie into it, so that they're currently on septic tanks. So that, so it will benefit not just those houses that they're going to build, but it can also benefit those other houses that are already on septic tank in that area. And I know we've been trying to work on getting some of those converted, I know since for years,
for years.
so.
And I doubt would ever get everybody in Crescent City on sewer. So I got some out there in my area on, Center Street,
Yeah,
and some on Lake Jenner, and for years, we finally got a grant to get some of them up, but we didn't get all of them.
and it's my understanding, you have issues when the power goes down too, in your septic tank. Your septic tank has no power, we have had the benefit of not having to worry about that, thankfully,
well, as I said,
when our power down.
I think having city sewer is a big selling point for Crescent City.
It
It is.
And that's something that DEP has, it really promotes and tries to work with communities in making sure that we do a conversion, So we'll continue to work that avenue as well. Okay? Some real hearts. Yes.
It's 8 o'clock, could we possibly?
Would you like a break?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm going to recess for 5 minutes. Nothing like telling
I'll make sure.
Okay, this meeting is back in order. I think our next item, Mr. Realbart.
Yes, the next item deals with janitorial services. The party that was doing the services for the city, is no longer doing it, so we advertised for potential clients to submit, their applications. One that came to us, is Sarah Shriver, and staff looked at her, application. We did some background checks, and we believe that, this would be the best business to offer the position for janitorial services.
Can I ask some questions?
Yes.
And how much were we paying Beth to do it before?
We were giving her
600.
150.
150.
So this would be for 180?
Yeah, she added on a couple of things. She added on, windows
Don't we have
dusting.
someone here the other day doing this?
on the outside. We have a company that comes in and does the outside, but they don't do the inside.
Okay. that's
So
good
she
enough.
did add on windows and she did add on, dusting as well.
And I see that she has insurance and has,
She's bonded and insured and licensed.
and she's a local resident. That's it.
And she's a local resident.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a new resident.
So,
And she and her husband both have businesses here in the community.
and what's the name of it? I thought that was great. Sarah's Super Sons.
Yeah.
Great.
Do we have any other questions? And I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I did have a question that I've been answered already, that was, okay, I'm just looking at.
We had a question about her access into the building. We've never done, cleaning during, office hours. They've always, the company before Beth and the company before that company have always come in the evening, usually on a Wednesday evening.
Okay, the reason I asked is because I thought the ad asked for Monday through Friday. I could have sworn that's what the ad asked for. But, if that's not an issue, then that's fine.
Well, we had the
That
one
was
before that, yeah, we had the one before that, actually, they came in on a Saturday, the one
Yes.
prior to that came in on a Wednesday. They came in on a Saturday, that was on a Wednesday, so.
For the most part, sometimes she was on Friday, sometimes, depending on the meeting, she was flexible with. When we had meetings, she was flexible enough to work around it.
Okay, yeah, the only reason I asked that is because I could have sworn that the advertisement, said Monday through Friday, but if that's not necessary. So this person, is bonded and insured. Okay, a member of the public asked me, what about workers' comp insurance? Well, I assume their insurance will cover their.
She's
Her liability
Her liability, and she doesn't have to carry workers' comp because of the amount of, she doesn't have enough employees, if that's her, that's to her choosing, isn't that correct? Mr. Mullins? Yes.
I would assume she's a contract employee,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
So she's not an employee of the city,
So she wouldn't be entitled to,
contract worker, I'm sorry.
she'd be a 1099, she'll be a 1099 employee, or a 1099 contractor. Commissioner DeVito, you have any other questions?
No, I do not.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we hire, Sarah's Super Sons to do our cleaning at City Hall for $180 a week.
Second.
Okay, we have a proper motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion?
Who's like saying Sarah's?
Because it's,
I would say Sarah's Super Sons.
Yes, Commissioner DeVito,
okay, so it's, I'm sorry, I can't find my memory, so it's a 180 a week? Just, okay, just want to make sure I heard that right. Okay.
do we have any public comment? I'll open it up for public comment. Do we have anybody that would like to speak to this? Okay. See anybody come forward? Karen, you'll do a roll call for us, please.
Commissioner DeVito,
Aye.
Commissioner Lord,
Aye.
Commissioner Banks,
Aye.
Commissioner Burton,
Aye.
Mayor Myers.
Hi. So moved.
Next item is, pink on Putnam. Each October, the Women's Club decorates businesses in pink for breast cancer awareness. They're asking for a $100 donation as part of that service.
I move that we make a donation of $100 to pick up that one for the pink out, you know.
I second that.
Proper motion and a second. Karen, are they still intending to come and
Yes, I actually saw Mindy the other day, and she was, actually, they were raising money at Hitchcock's, bagging groceries. And thank you, Diane, for that. Yeah, so they were bagging groceries, and she did come in and see me, and she said, as soon as they didn't want to do it before they got the okay from you, from the commission. So they said that they would come and do it.
Cindy, it concerns me her lack of faith in us.
Actually, I was the one that said I would wait until we get the permission. I don't want to see it.
Karen, your lack of faith in us.
I'm sorry, my bad.
Okay, we have a proper motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion? Yes, Commissioner
I
DeVito.
have one question. So this would come, I asked a question out of the line item A to other nonprofit or community organizations.
Yes.
I know we added $5,000 to that line item for the mobile spay and neuter trailer donation that we're gonna make to ARC. But did we put $2,000 other than the 5,000 in that line item?
There was just an additional 1,000, so 6,000, 5,000 for ARC and then another 1,000.
Okay, so it's only 1,000, because we usually put 2 in there, I think. Okay, so when we spend this, we'll have $900 left, right? And we usually give the 500
To the library and then the Christian Service Center the last 2 years have asked, and we've given them the remaining typically.
Right, okay, so we will still have enough funding for the library if we so choose.
Yes.
Okay, that was my question.
Okay. Karen, if you'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Burton?
Aye.
Commissioner Banks?
Aye.
Commissioner Lori?
Aye.
Commissioner DeVito?
Aye.
Mayor Myers?
Aye. Okay, so moved.
The next item deals with the legislative appropriations requests. There's going to be an upcoming meeting of the state delegates representing this particular district, including the representatives and the senator. So as part of that meeting, the city wants to be able to have legislative appropriations requests to be able to present, such that as part of the upcoming legislative session, we can have some support letters and applications to submit for important capital projects. Or it could be, it doesn't necessarily have to be capital, but we have identified some projects that we feel are critically important, including a new fire station, EMS appropriation request in the amount of $2 million. As you may remember, the city did already get $1 million. That was approved by the delegation and approved last year. So this would be a continuation of those dollars to be able to build phase 2. So we've got $1 million plus a little bit more to build phase 1. Then this would expand it and include the phase 2, which would actually complete what the recommended station would look like here on Summit. The second items would be construct new water and sewer lines, identified as North Tower Water Main, Lake Argenta, Lake Street, and South Tower Water Loop. The amount shown here for each of these projects would be for the construction phase. So if you recall, 3 of these projects were to be designed as part of the ARPA. So now we want to be able to say we've got the design completed, they're turned dirt ready, and so we're requesting dollars to come out of the legislative appropriation for the construction phase. And if you add up all of these particular projects, it comes in at about $5.23 million. And so these are projects we would like to be able to submit to the legislative delegation for this area.
Yes.
When I was looking through our wonderful 13-page list that Mr. Red left us. He had said for the new fire station that we needed to request 4 million.
Yes, we've since, met with the architect, and the architect has got the conceptual for the phase 1 down, and it has looked at, architectural renderings for the second phase, and so we feel comfortable that 3 million, would be able to accomplish it. Now, if we want to add another million and say 3 and then negotiate it down, that's a possibility certainly. But we feel that 3 million will be able to accomplish the entire project in its
So
entirety.
the million now that we have, and then 2 million.
And we negotiated that down last year, so we asked for 2 million, we requested 2 million, the governor's office reached out to us and said, can you do with, half of that, 1 million? And luckily with that, we'll be able to provide, an ambulance bay, so we'll have an ambulance in town, and we'll also be able to provide, living quarters, which we currently do not have. They're there, but they are having to, sleep on cots. And so, we've gotten, Chief Highfield has worked really hard to build up our volunteers, and we have a great group over there, and so this will just help with that.
We do.
Yes, we do. And so this will just help with that, so, that's where we are. We can get started on this. What a lot of people don't realize either is that if we actually were in a hurricane, that building, of course, is an old auto, it's an old auto shop. So our firefighters and our EMS or anybody else that's there, usually the county has at least 5 people there during a storm, along with ours. They have to come in here and they go into our vaults. So that's just not that's just not conducive,
So you're saying the building is not up to hurricane standard?
No, this new one will be, right? The new one where there'll be housing, it will be, but where all of our trucks are, it's not, so.
Now, my question would be, since we're not using ARPA funds to fund the design of Lake Street, should we not be asking for a appropriation for that? Since that was not what we started out doing.
That was the 135.
Yeah, that's the big one, because that's a big project that goes all the way from Central up and all the way down Lake Street and up, Palm.
I think we put everything that we need, honestly, I think we put everything we need on here. I think if we need more for the Cherry Street, we could put that. I also think, as Ms. Sykes mentioned, that we can even add our septic to sewer, just in case. Sometimes I know Representative Payne was very, that was a big project of his, is trying to get people converted. So if you have a legislator out there, that might get some attention as well. It just depends on what their agenda is. I'm afraid their agenda this next year is going to be hurricane recovery.
Yes.
My understanding that, with the unbelievable damage, and FEMA was telling us today that currently FEMA is putting out, what did he say, $1 billion a day?
Yeah.
$1 billion a day.
Right, well, I agree with you that hurricane recovery is probably gonna take a lot of precedence, and there will be communities, who will need a lot of infrastructure replaced, obviously. And this may be old news. At the fall legislative conference last year, there was a session where someone gave a preview of the leadership of the legislature and what next year was gonna look like. And they did mention, they thought that, there was gonna be a cap on local projects of like $1 million. I don't know, that may be old news. But as well, one thing we need to keep in mind is, and this is maybe where our grant writers could help us. I mean, the first thing the legislators ask us is, have you applied for state grant programs? So if DEP or the Water Management District have funding, I mean, we're a small town, we don't have people just available to go check. But every legislative session, the agencies get money
Yeah,
that local governments can apply for. And I don't know that we really have the capacity or have had to take advantage of that yet.
well, so one of ours that came out, it actually was a DEP, it was a DEP legislative appropriations. So,
So
we do
they,
have
there's
some
like
help.
a block and then you apply to the.
To the agency, to the agents, individual agencies.
They ask, like, for example, if you ask them for a special appropriation for a historic property, they say, did you apply for grant? That's, and as well.
And so that's with both of our grant writers, making sure that they, that they have done
Look
that,
into that for
that
us.
they've done that for us.
And also including the fact that all of the legislative appropriations for water and sewer project last session were, featured by the governor. So that's why you go through the agency process. And that money was not. So it was kind of, we have to do both routes. And I do know that, I believe it was, Fred Fox was working on applications for the DEP. So
I believe it was, I believe it was, I know that that's been,
Right, because that was just like June that closed. So I was talking to Mr. Red about that, so hopefully. I'm going to keep calling Mr. Red, or call him Charles when he was here.
he seems formally yes now.
I don't know why.
I do know that USDA with some of their grants and Charles has spoken to them numerous times about it, and they, one thing that has gotten in our way is the fact that as a small community, that we have $1 million sitting there in reserves.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you've got that, why are you not using that? So anyway, I'm a motion.
I move that we, approve, or I move that we make the following appropriation requests, that are listed here.
Including Lake Street widening,
Well, yeah, why not?
because it's not shovel ready.
I know. I think I said that, and the mayor said,
All
just
right,
apply for it.
okay, we covered that, sorry.
So there you go. Someone second that.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and second, do we have any discussion? With that motion, you did not include in there, so it might be that you don't want to, the subject to sewer, if we have anything in there, or even the Cherry Street, so I'm just mentioning that. Michael, Mr. Gilhart, what are your thoughts on that?
This is a fairly big, budget request, 5.2 plus now 135, so we're at 5.4, 5.2. So I think this list is pretty good. I would not put in Cherry Street simply because we don't know
Okay,
if it's going to be
Okay.
sewer or septic.
And the subject sewer, I mean, you can see how it goes through the.
Yeah.
If it's currently in the grant process, let's see if we
it's
can.
just if you have it in here and somebody says we need to, that's some project for somebody, you never know, somebody will attach to it. Yes, sir. Mr. Holmes, I can just see he's antsy over there, wants to say something.
Well, been through this process a few times. Have you spoken with Representative Payne or Senator Hudson's offices about one-on-one about their thoughts about best strategy this year?
We usually do, we usually meet with them one-on-one before we go into the big forum where we give them our legislative requests and get their feedback from it. But that's what we need today is permission to even start that process. But yes, sir, we do, we make an appointment and the city manager and I have sat down with, them every year that I've been here, we've had that, and they've kind of told us where they feel like what's gonna be,
We found that to be most effective.
Yeah.
Aligning with the city of Palatka to, kind of, rather than asking for the moon, try to ask for something that you can leave an impression with them on but if you've already got a strategy, then.
is that different? I mean, is that something that, is that what y'all would do also, is you would get your approval from your commission? These are items that we would like to take to the legislature and then go sit down with the legislators individually before we make a big presentation.
We would go to them and ask them basically off the record, so to speak, what the climate was in Tallahassee, how much money you think is gonna be out there to be spread around, are there any favorite projects this year or topics this year that seem to be gathering favor in the legislature or momentum in the legislature, and then from there, kind of tailor our list. And then we went in, when we did our, our lobbying in Tallahassee on the various days when you go up the rural county days and so forth. We would try to hit our most likely to be approved project first, because I don't know, maybe it was just everybody can't have their own strategy, but it just seemed like when you went in with the shotgun approach and you asked for the moon, you got lost in the shuffle. Whereas if you could get them some real good justification for one project that was within the realm of what they might support, you could track some tracking. But you know how it works up there. You've got to get somebody to sponsor, and then somebody to get some other people to sign on, and then hope. But that was just our process, and maybe, your process is work out good for you. I don't know. That was what we kind of had, and then you're gonna have some changes up there.
Well, we already do, with Representative Payne, we've lost him, and then.
Absolutely, and he
And Senator Hudson too, so we're gonna have two new, and not sure yet if they have that pulse.
Yeah.
On, and they're gonna be freshmen going in, so.
Our senator is gonna be for,
Actually,
it's gonna be
Yeah.
for the show.
actually, the word is, Representative Payne knows very well the person who is running for state senate, who may already, the race may be decided, I don't know. But our state senator was very highly placed House member in leadership, so they will not be starting out as a freshman. They will be probably, in very good shape. Yes, they've already been in legislative leadership.
Representative Payne wouldn't be a.
Not in the House. Oh, yeah, okay, I'm sorry, okay, I'm sorry. Because he's already turned out in the House and he's going into the Senate.
No, these are not.
No, because he turned out in the House and he's running for the Senate, so he already has standing.
And he was already.
But that's basically he already has standing.
Okay, so that's, yes, and then our representative will be a freshman, and he will have to be educated on the needs of Putnam County because he does not live in Putnam County. So, it's gonna be a little harder of probably an education process. So.
With our fire station, we've already dealt with the governor's office on that, and they do know that we would be coming back for an additional, and that was their recommendation too, is that we come back this next year to that. So, we can take this, Commissioner, we have a motion in a second, we can take this, and I thought that was gonna be our intention, is that this is what you've said, these are our priorities for legislation, we go and speak to them individually, and if they say, y'all need to take this off, and this off, then that's typically what we have done in the past.
And the mayor, I have one question. Do we know the date of the Putnam County
We've been given
legislative
that
delegation?
It's, the month is November, but I don't have the dates.
Okay, so in other words, we might have an opportunity to meet again. I don't know. They're gonna have to be sworn in.
I'm sure that we're gonna have an opportunity, I don't think it's.
But anyway, I think we should just go ahead and make this our initial list, and then if we need to make changes, we can do that. Okay.
Yeah, that's good, good.
Okay. So I have a proper motion and a second. Do we have any public comment? Okay, Karen, we'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner DeVito,
Aye.
Commissioner Laurie,
Aye.
Commissioner Banks,
Aye.
Commissioner Burton,
Aye.
Mayor Myers.
Aye. Okay, so approved. This is the next one is,
Yeah, the next one is on our ACH. There are times when the city needs to make payments for personnel or personnel-related expenses that go above the $40,000 threshold that's currently established through our bank. Doesn't happen often, but we had one very recent where it came in at 43,000. And so the bank is asking the city to Their recommendation is to increase it from 40,000 to 50,000 for ACH fund transfers. And so we're presenting that to the commission tonight for consideration.
Okay. What's happened too, and for those of you that don't know, is that we've gone from a weekly system to a bi-weekly payroll system. And so sometimes, I guess, if there's overtime or anything in that, it's going to, put us over that threshold, and that happened just before the storm, and of course Sheila was working, and we were at the bank, and it was, that was their recommendation, and felt that it was necessary that we bring it to the commission, that the commission needs to approve that.
Also, to add on to that, I know it's not on the agenda, but it's underneath the same increase limit for the ACH, the amount of, that's coming in for our pay, for our utility billing.
For depositing.
For depositing, because
Yeah.
too little, we have to up that as well, so I think she said 50,000, right?
She said, yeah, Jocelyn said 50,000, so it works both ways, it's going out and coming in, and Jocelyn said with the increase, with the increased amount of users, we have more users, and she says that's becoming more and more of a problem for them. And so she asked that as well, is that we do that, both in coming in and outgoing. And I believe when that happens, Mr. Billhart, that I have to sign a document, for the bank, because that's what they were asking me for that night, and I said, no, not till we go to the commission, so.
Right, you're the representative.
I know in our audits in the last few years, that's been one of the things that I believe has been pointed out as an issue was ACH debits and whether they are signed off by two people. Is that something we do require the two people sign off just like we do on checks?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's something that we had corrected so that doesn't come up again. But I make the motion that we authorize the mayor to sign the paperwork with the bank to increase the ACH debit capacity to 50,000, as well as the ACH credit.
One second.
Motion and a second, do we have any other discussion?
Mayor, I have one request.
Yes.
For the benefit of the public, and actually for me, explain someone again what ACH stands for.
It is automated clearinghouse.
Yes. So that means that there's direct deposit.
Direct deposit payments that are electronic.
So that means outgoing direct deposit to employees, because they all, for the most part, I think, except for maybe one or two, have direct deposit to their bank, so they're paid directly to their bank.
Right.
And it's the opposite, for customers to be able to also, deposit with the city for their utilities.
Right, and so the $50,000 for debit would be an aggregate going out at one time. It would not be $50,000 to one employee.
No, oh gosh, no, oh
Right,
gosh.
I'm just saying, when you listen, it's not totally clear. It's an aggregate of funds that are being sent out at a particular time.
It usually happens during payroll.
She batches, it's a
Right,
batch.
that's what I'm saying, it's a
Batch,
batch.
or she sends it out as a batch.
That's all I had.
Okay. Do we have any public comment on this? Seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment. Karen, if you'll do a roll call on this for us, please.
Commissioner Burton,
Aye.
Commissioner Banks,
Aye.
Commissioner Lori,
Aye.
Commissioner DeVito,
Aye.
Mayor Myers.
Aye. So approved.
The next item is a request to appoint two members to the Blue Ribbon Committee. These two members will be replaced two that had gone off the committee.
May I make a motion there?
You have before you the Nancy Taylor and Dr. Kevin Jordan.
Yes, in our packets, there are two applications. One is from Miss Nancy Taylor, who is a lifelong resident of Crescent City area, and I believe graduated Crescent City High School. And the other is Dr. Kevin Jordan, who has more recently come to the committee, but is a retired professor from Daytona State College and has held many volunteer and professional positions. So I would like to move the appointment of Ms. Nancy Taylor and Dr. Kevin Jordan to serve on Blue Ribbon Committee.
Sorry.
I
I know he was one.
You're swollen with your.
I'd like him to get as many seconds as he can or motions, so.
It's yours, sorry.
So-
Please.
Commissioner Banks, would you like to second this?
I'll say,
So we have a motion and a second. I believe we have, do we have any discussion here? If not, I've got, Mr. Dodge who asked to speak.
He's chairman.
As the chairman of the BRC.
Thank you, Ken Dodge, Chairman of the BRC. Hello again. I just, we met this morning, of course, and our committee discussed the candidates, and of course, 3 voting members fully supported 2 candidates. And as you know, we've had a vacancy for some time, and the reality is, these are 2 applicants, that's it. So anyways, we fully support them. We think they will bring both will bring great talent and needed skills to our committee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would just say as the commission liaison that it would be nice to have 5. And I think both of these individuals are definitely passionate and bring their experiences and will be a great asset to the committee.
So we have a motion and a second. Do we have any other speakers? Karen, if you'll do a roll call for us, please.
Commissioner DeVito,
Aye.
Commissioner Ward,
Aye.
Commissioner Banks,
aye,
Commissioner Burton,
Aye.
Mayor Myers.
Aye. So approved. Welcome. Thank you for your service.
I mean,
Please share that with Ms. Taylor also. I will advise, and this is something that we need to make sure that as people come onto these committees, that you are subject to the sunshine, which means that you, as most of you know, that you cannot discuss these issues outside of a publicly advertised meeting. So,
The next item is called discussions on putting the reserves into an interest-bearing account. This is specific to your adopted city budget. There's a $1 million amount that's in a reserve account. There's been some discussion about looking at it being able to be an interest-bearing, putting those funds into an account where it can draw acceptable interest. So we just wanted to bring this item to you today so that maybe at an upcoming workshop or at another meeting, depending upon your choice, we can allow you to look at some options that we think would be good places to put the $1 million. And I believe inside your packet tonight, there's one location called, that would be a really good, the vast majority of jurisdictions within the state of Florida actually put in the funds for interest.
gives us some good reading.
oh yes, it's very exciting.
So commissioners, do you have any questions?
I just have one question.
Yes.
The material is very good. It references governed by Florida law. Haven't had a chance to read it in that much detail. Can you lose principal in this for a time?
Can it? I don't know if it can, but it has not. Historically, it has not.
Okay, because I know the state of Florida has various investment, not accounts, I guess, they have various investment vehicles, Commissioner Lori said, or funds. We had discussed at one time putting this into a CD and an approved depository. I don't know, I guess we have to wait and see, you're gonna bring to us other options? Okay.
And that's the one thing too, is whatever we do with it, we want to make sure that it's accessible without penalties.
And this is daily input.
Yeah.
So, and it's designed for governments.
Yeah.
Make an interest on it, but also so that it is accessible immediately if we need it. And, but I believe to your question, they are not insured or guaranteed. It's, so that's one thing we have to consider, but, almost nothing's gonna be guaranteed.
Right, and then is there, Commissioner, where you're a fast reader, you might know the answer. Right, is there a minimum?
I don't think so.
Right, so in other words, would it be possible for us to put some of the funds into a CD and some of the funds into a more available account?
I think that's, that's just something we have to, I don't know about a CD, I think a CD.
They have, there is I know that Bank of America has a product out there that, you can take it out, without penalties. There are some conditions with that, so some of the banks, I do believe, that might be an Edward Jones type thing that they have through Bank of America, but I do know that some of them do have that capability. We just have to explore that and also see what South State.
We have our finance guy here tonight, and haven't you guys been working on this, Steve? Haven't you been looking around for someplace to put that many dollars to make us manage?
I've just been focusing on the water line,
Okay.
it's not recommended, government.
Yeah,
Oh,
Steve,
nobody can hear you, so I'm sorry.
You'll start over. Please.
Yeah, currently I haven't looked at anything but the Florida Prime.
Yeah.
I talked with Joanne Klein, who's our CPA, who's been helping out, and it came highly recommended by her, and I guess she's got several clients that use it. She said nothing bad to say about it.
Okay. Now, the other options, are you gonna be the person bringing the other options to us to look at?
Yeah, I'll look into CDs and see what else is out there, yes.
Okay.
Steve right now is still trying to get through our audit.
I know it is. I know. But I knew that he had been kind of looking at it.
We also,
Julianne.
but Commissioner, we also do need to make sure this doesn't fall by the wayside like it did last
No.
budget year. Because,
Because we lost a full year.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
And Steve, while you're here, if you'll just give us just a quick audit update. I know you've answered all the questions and then they come back with more, so we're at right.
Yes, it's a deal where, you submit some documentation to them and they come back with more questions, so it's just kind of a back and forth, kind of deal, just trying to get the questions answered as quick as we can and just try to move on and hopefully get this thing done.
but they have signals to cover it close, or?
I've got to sit down with Julianne, it's just, you send something and they kind of come back and say, okay, keep looking this a little deeper, and it seems like we take one step forward, maybe a step or two back, and then we take, 2 steps forward, so we're getting there, just, we'll have to sit down with Julianne, I'll have to sit down with her and just put our heads together and just come up with a game plan on just getting this done.
And we're in communication with Tallahassee, correct?
Correct.
We are working on this,
Yeah.
okay. And that's something, again, for the record, for anybody listening or anybody in the audience, our finances are audited every year, and it's an extremely thorough audit. And so that's what we're going through right now. It's an audit, it's, turned in. So I just want everybody to know that we are audited every year. I know that there's some talk out there that we're not, and that we need to go through an audit, but we do go through an audit every year, and it's very extensive.
And it's public, so.
And it's public, yes.
And it's not that we're currently having a problem with, it's just that it is a intensive process.
It's an intensive process.
The way it goes back and forth, we send them stuff, they send more questions, it's not that there's anything wrong, they're just being thorough.
Yeah, they are very thorough, you're getting, a lot for your money with these guys, they're very thorough.
They're very thorough.
Yep.
Which is great for us.
Oh, yeah, they're very good.
Just not for Steve.
It's not for Steve.
Well, thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Good work, we appreciate it.
Okay.
This item was brought to our attention in regards to legislation that was passed by the state this year regarding the banning of people from sleeping in public spaces. There are a lot of things that we're not aware of on the specificity, so we thought it'd be a good idea to get the city attorney's input and possibly, if you wanted to request having a workshop specific to this item.
There's more not known about this than there
I
is
think so.
that's known right
Specific,
now.
yeah.
And, the statute, as you know, does not make it a state violation for a person to be sleeping in a public place. It basically speaks in language of saying that the cities and counties shouldn't allow it or authorize it.
They put it on us.
They do, and by not making it a violation of the state criminal code, they leave a lot of, I guess, uncertainty as to how far a city or county is supposed to go in trying to prohibit it, i.e. by ordinance, do you make it a criminal offense? And you probably have read various different things. There's a lot of articles out there. The statute itself is now codified at 125.0231. You can look it up, but there's no explanation or case notes yet, of course, because it's just was effective in October. So 125.0231. However, of note is that this is interesting to me. The statute starts by, as you probably know, indicating that a county or municipality, a county or municipality may not authorize or otherwise allow any person to regularly engage in public camping or sleeping on any public property, including but not limited to any public building or its grounds, any public right-of-way under the jurisdiction of the county or municipality. Doesn't speak to private property. That would be something we have to deal with by, trespass or whatever. But then it goes on to say that a county, not municipality, may, by majority vote of the county's governing body, designate property owned by the county or a municipality within the boundaries of the county to be used for a continuous period of no longer than 1 year for the purposes of public camping or sleeping. If the designated property is within the boundaries of a municipality, the designation is contingent upon concurrence by the municipality. So the county gets to designate the property. If it's within the municipality, then you have to concur. And then it specifies some things that are supposed to be provided and some conditions. But then it says if you're a fiscally constrained county, you can eliminate all of those conditions except you can't have drug use on the property. So.
Or alcohol.
I'm sorry.
Or alcohol.
Yeah. I didn't.
This is there.
Well, prohibiting the illegal substance use and alcohol use on designated property and enforcing such prohibitions. So, it's a pretty wide open subject right now. It does provide that private citizen or, others can attempt to, seek injunctive relief against a municipality or governmental entity if they don't follow the statute. But there is a notice requirement that has to be served on the county or the city before that injunctive relief is pursued. And I think there's just going to be a whole lot of litigation that stems from this. So if you're going to have a workshop, I would suggest that there be some conversation with the county early on about what the county's thoughts are. It's going to, I would assume that every municipality in the county is going to be looking for an answer. So it's going to be an interesting time.
Mayor, I have a question for the city attorney. Mr. Holmes, I took part in legislative days from the city last year when this was being considered, and I have quite a bit to say about it because I've been involved as volunteer in homeless services for about 37 years. From establishing a homeless shelter to chairing the state council on homelessness to serving on a continuum care board. So done a lot. My question about this new statute is, do you think it's possible, because the enforcement provision is really through private lawsuits, that the courts will feel the need to make, rules regarding how, a suit would be filed?
I think that there's gonna be all sorts of challenges on this, because,
I'm
there's
just saying, how
so
do you,
much blank space.
wouldn't the courts have to make a provision for even how you file your case? I don't know.
It says that you can seek injunctive relief, but then there's there's just so many questions right now that I think it's one of those laws that's been passed, bills that's been passed, but there's more questions than
So,
answers.
yeah, I
And
didn't think it through.
if they had wanted to really, I mean, if they really had wanted to take the bull by the horns, they could have gone ahead and made it a state violation, a violation of state law. And put some parameters in it, but instead they just, that broad language that's in the statute states it's, of course, they define public camping and sleeping, et cetera, et cetera. They exempt that you're in a tagged vehicle, by the way, which is kind of interesting.
Does it say current tagged vehicle or just tagged vehicle?
The term does not include lodging or residing overnight in a motor vehicle that is registered, insured, and located in a place where it may lawfully be. So theoretically, registered, insured, sitting in the parking lot, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to,
No,
I'm just saying, there's so many questions. But the way the thing reads, except as provided in subsection 3, which is the section that provides for designating property where camping can be permitted for a period of not longer than 1 year. It just says, except as provided in 3, a county or municipality may not authorize or otherwise allow any person to regularly engage in public camping or sleeping on any public property, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, you can see the potential for challenges. I think there's already been some court rulings. I think what I'm reading in some of the treatises is this is considered to be the strongest legislation in the United States right now. When I say strongest, I mean most restrictive. I'm not saying best or most legally, least legally vulnerable. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's considered to be the most restrictive in the United States right now. So I just imagine the lawsuits are going to be plentiful. And so I think that here's the problem you've got, and you've seen it, we've all seen it. Somebody's going to start capitalizing on it.
Yeah.
Just like they did with the handicapped, the Disabilities Act, lawsuits on regarding your website. Remember those, the challenges, I mean, the public records request, that game, for lack of a better term, that was played, where they just basically saturated the state with public records requests. They would go in, make a request of a clerk in the police department, and finally catch somebody who would say, you have to make that in writing, and then here's a lawsuit, and settle it for a few $1,000s. I'm afraid this is going to be a fruitful ground for that sort of exercise. And I really think that we probably ought to, we represent 2 municipalities, and of course I have a lot of contact with the county. I think we're gonna need to get in touch and deal with the League of Cities. For one, the county associations, and try to see what kind of strategy everybody's coming up with to deal with this. Because if we get that first demand letter, this thing requires a 5-day notice, as I recall, before suits filed. And I think that we get that demand, 5-day demand letters, an application for injunction, 5% of the subsection must be accompanied by an affidavit attesting that applicant has provided a written notice of the alleged violation of subsection 2 to the governing body of the county or applicable municipality. Subsection 2 is one that says you shouldn't allow it or authorize it. The applicant has provided the county or applicable municipality with 5 business days to cure the alleged violation. So, in the meanwhile, I guess if you get a complaint that says there's somebody sleeping in the doorway of City Hall, within 5 days, we need to try to cure it, we need to try to move that person. But where? Yeah, exactly where? We don't have a homeless shelter in Putnam County that I'm aware of.
We don't.
We do not.
So there's a lot of questions.
And aren't we going to need the cooperation of law enforcement?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't know at the sheriff's office, I haven't talked to anybody from the SO as to how they're going to deal with this. I will. Happy to, go to needing to anyway. So, yeah, I'm sure they're gonna have to be thinking pretty hard about how they deal with it. So, interesting.
Well, I see it on the horizon.
Oh, I think you're right.
And someone mentioned to me that, it was mentioned actually that we had to, in order to enforce it, we had to set up somewhat of that like tent city. But that's not a requirement.
Like what now?
Like a tent city, but that's not a requirement. That's not a requirement.
I read some of the newspaper articles that kind of said that too, but this is what the statute says.
Unless the county puts that demand on the municipality.
Right.
Well, no, but we're not authorized, we are not required to pay for it. It's a county responsibility.
But they could put it here in the
Yes.
city. I don't think they would.
I don't even see where you're authorized to do it.
Right.
I
No, we're not.
We're not, it's a suggestion. I think it was an option.
I don't even think that it's a suggestion for you.
It's not authorized.
Not to the
in this
municipality.
legislation.
Right, but municipality, it's not. That's what I meant.
County.
It says specifically that the county.
Right. So, and to me, the way this is written, I take this to mean that only counties can do this. And they have to get specific approval from the Department of Children and Families. They actually, strange, League of Cities sent us the DCF regulations about how you get your, whatever it is, your designated encampment approved. And I thought that was interesting because it's not something we do, it's something the county does. But I will say the one useful thing that I see in this legislation is in order for a county to be able to designate one of these encampments, it has to provide certification of and documentation proving, quote, that there are not sufficient open beds and homeless shelters in the county for the homeless population of the county. That's gonna be an interesting statistic if counties file for these.
And the county won't have any problem in proving that.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, Putnam County does, as far as I know, except for special populations, does
We'll
not have.
talk about it.
Yes, I'm not sure though, it's, obviously it's been brokered already with the council as well, so we're just waiting on an answer. So we're seeing the same thing, too vague, we're ready, that's when we make the new case law, I don't wanna be that guy.
Representing small municipalities and governmental entities, that's always been my position, that we can't afford to be the standard bearer for the litigation. Somebody in Miami needs to do it, and then some of them have homeless shelters, but there needs to be certified lack of sufficient shelter space, so. But I think this is something we need to get with the legal on pretty quick, but sooner rather than later.
I agree, because I think we need to have some sort of a direction and policy in place.
Yeah, I agree. So I'll reach out to the league if you don't mind,
Absolutely.
and because we're gonna have to do it for Interlochen as well, and Pomona Park, we represent 3 municipalities, so I'll reach out to the league and see if I can get with, their folks and see, I imagine they're brainstorming it, but I bet you everybody's looking at it and saying the same thing, more questions than answers.
And their legal staff anyway will not deal with us directly, they only want to deal with our attorney. So normally when you call, even, it doesn't matter if it's in the legal side, they just really want to talk to the attorney. So thank you for doing that.
Certainly.
Okay, do we have any other discussion on this? Okay, if not, we're gonna move on to code enforcement. Okay, Pam, you ready? And y'all saw me text, I typically never text in a meeting, I just wanted to, if somebody asked. Tell my husband to eat without me. Said, go ahead and eat.
I'm about to do the same thing.
Well, he's not gonna be when I get home.
You ready? Good evening. I have a memo here with, cases that we're considering for release of liens. There's 11 total. They're all in compliance. They're all different owners from the original lien holders. And it's just an effort to clean up our books and, the lien reduction process, it came before the special magistrate and the commission. It's a process that takes 60 to 90 days. And that would just alleviate these 11 cases and free up everyone's time. So if you want to look at them case by case, or just want to vote on all 11 at one time,
Yeah, I don't think we have to look at them case by case, but, I mean, reading through these, I mean, interestingly, several of them, we own the property now.
Yeah.
You know, Market Square was what some of these were, because when it was seized by federal marshals.
I did have a question about that for legal staff. The property across the street was seized by the federal marshals back in a long time ago.
Yeah.
Does that release the code enforcement liens that were in place at that time?
What happened after they seized it? Did they go through some sort of forfeiture
They
process?
held it for a while and then sold it to us. It's Market Square, but we're the only one where Enterprises was. It was bought by the Aldic, and then was seized and held on to for years and years, and then they sold it to us.
The feds did.
Yes, they did.
After 13 years of holding it now.
Jay Asbury is our attorney, and my understanding is he did the negotiations.
Did they give you a warranty deed?
Yes, I believe so.
So they're warranting clear title if they did.
It doesn't state that it has a clear title.
I think
in the warranty
A
deed.
warranty deed, though, warrants clear title.
Oh,
It says they will defend it against claims of all persons whomsoever. If they gave you a warranty deed, I don't know that they did. I think that's why I asked the question. If they gave you a quick claim deed or something to that effect, then it makes no representation as to the status of title.
okay.
Yeah.
So we may not need to release those two. They may have already been taken care of.
Maybe, I mean,
I believe there's a warrant. I have a file that has the warranty deed. in it.
Commissioner Lori's looking it up.
Go ahead. Okay.
I did not find any release of liens for those two cases. in the
but you
public
own them
records.
now, right?
Excuse me?
You own the properties now. The city does.
The city does, yes.
Well, why wouldn't you want to release the lien?
Right. Well, if it's already been released through the federal marshals, then there's
Just
no need.
rather than go through the research, just release them and be done with it. If you own it.
I was gonna tell you, it's a United States Marshal deed.
So I have no idea what that is, to be honest with you.
I've
I've never seen a United States Marshal deed before.
It's a United
I have a
States
copy of
Special
it.
Warranty deed.
Okay.
Sure. but
It's a United States Marshal warranty deed.
United States Special Warranty deed.
Special warranty deed says they'll defend against the claims of any person that arises, the claim arises during, as a result of their actions or during their, holding of title, but not all persons whomsoever. A warranty deed basically says I'm warranting title, period, against all claims of anybody. Special warranty deed said I'm warranting claims that arose as a result of my ownership, not anything else. So they basically just limited their, but like I said, it's your property and your lien, so why not get rid of it?
Yeah. I have a question for our city attorney. Yes?
Mr. Holmes, let me know when I can ask you a question.
Certainly,
So, I don't know, we've never done a wholesale, release of lien for properties before. Is this something that maybe you should take a look at before we vote? Look at the files, look at the cases?
I'm happy to, whatever you'd like me to do.
I don't know, well, I'm just saying what would be prudent. There's no indication on here of the amount of lien that we would be releasing or whether any of these people own properties or, I think it seems to say, are all of them in compliance?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor? Okay, and
If the property's not in compliance, the fine is still accruing. And these essentially just for the lack of paperwork over the years, kind of fell through the cracks, I guess, possibly, and
My understanding they're obsolete anyway.
I guess I'm just 2004.
Yeah, because of the time period based on what, Mr.
No,
Holmes shared with us, they're not.
they last for 20 years. All of these are still viable liens.
Do they have ones that are older than 2004?
No,
Okay, so nothing else. Or those would already just fall off because it's 20 years.
the ones in 2004 came off this year.
So
Out of
it's
the
automatic.
4 that we had in 2004, 1 is still not in compliance, and we refiled a new lien on that property in 2021, so that is still a viable lien. We still have a lien in place on that property.
If it was based upon a new case, it is, but you can't just refile an old lien and renew it, basically.
Right, I filed a new case in
Oh, okay, cool.
2021
All right,
and re-liened the property.
okay, good deal. And this is a special warranty deed. They only agreed to defend the title against lawful claims of persons claiming by, through, or under the federal government. So other people would not be included in that. And it also specifically states that it's subject to claims of restrictions, covenants, conditions, easement, and other matters of record. So this would not obviate your lien,
All right.
but you can.
So,
The original lien was filed in 2005, so it would be absolved in 2025, but they refiled it in 2008, I believe.
So,
Mayor, my observation about this list is that it says it's not clear which properties and which liens specifically the code officer is asking us to release. There's a lot of information in here that says 3 cases aren't in compliance, 6 have been released or satisfied. I mean, to me, this is good research and good information to a point, but I think if we're being asked to release specific liens, we need a clean list of the addresses, the lien number, who it belongs to, how much the lien is for.
okay, can I get a motion to that effect? And if you want,
May I make a
Mr.
comment?
Holmes to review it,
Maybe?
yes. Yes, ma'am.
Some of the ones over here on the central that now belong to the city, the addresses were different in 2005 than they are now. The parcel ID numbers are probably even different. They would be reflected in the release of lien from the original lien, and it would release the liens on those properties.
Okay, but Mayor, I guess
So there wouldn't be addresses for those.
okay, well, but my request is that we ask our code officer to come back with this is very good information, but it reads more like a history, that our code officer come back with a clear list of the specific liens that she would like us to give authorization to release, giving the best address possible, the current owner and the case number and the amount of the lien.
do we really need the amount of the lien? I mean, these are all ones that no longer apply. That's why they're
Technically,
just-
they're still accruing.
Yeah, but
But I think, to me, I think it would be helpful just to know what the amount is. It would give us an idea, but I think we need a clean list.
Okay, I need a motion, so, and also,
The motion.
is that your motion? Okay.
A motion for a clean list of the specific liens that she would like us to authorize
And
to be released with as much identifying information as to the location and the current ownership of the property.
did you also want our attorney to, review these, or?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can I just say something? I don't know if we're being asked to release any liens tonight. This just seems like a report of different liens that have been on and off. I was thinking that this was more of a discussion with our attorney about the code enforcement cases for foreclosure to,
That's two separate issues.
okay, so,
I have a PowerPoint for the
There was
foreclosures.
a foreclosure.
Those are different cases.
okay, so,
These are ones that we want the liens released on.
okay. I haven't seen that move, so I'm not exactly sure even at this point.
That's next.
Okay, all right.
I think right now, she's talking about her memo about code enforcement liens with the case summary. It's 3 pages long.
Then I agree with my first statement, I was just kind
Right.
of reading through.
No,
Okay.
that's confusing.
Yeah, I think it's very confusing and.
Okay, I'm gonna end this with, in your motion, do you want to add that Mr. Holmes reviews this before it comes back to us?
I don't care, it's what Mr. Holmes suggests. I have no objection to someone adding that to my motion, if that's what the commission would
Well,
prefer.
I thought that was something that you wanted because you said you did not see where he had reviewed these, and you asked if he had reviewed these, so if that's not something that you want in there, then we currently have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion?
I just want to know from Mr. Holmes, would it be a prudent procedure for you to review, the list of liens or file before we actually decide?
I'd be happy to do that. I will do that anyway. I'll
Whether or
just go
not
ahead.
it's in the motion.
I will just do
Okay.
that.
Okay. Do we have any public input? Seeing no public input, do we have any further discussion, Commissioners? Karen, if you'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Barton?
Aye.
Commissioner Bennett?
Aye.
Commissioner Lori?
Aye.
Commissioner DeVito?
Aye.
Mayor Myers?
Aye. Karen, Pam?
These next cases are for consideration of foreclosure. There are 4 cases.
Lester, did you work there? Technologies, Brian. What Charles used to do, or Mr. Wright. I don't know.
Or you could call him Mr. Charles.
That's not. We've never once called Mr. Wright until.
I know.
I did when I was angry.
Oh, okay.
This first property that I'm suggesting for foreclosures is 515 South Prospect. The picture to the right, I did not take that, was taken by a neighbor recently.
This is down, so where this is down the lane. Okay, and this was the one that we were talking about possibly doing away with, demolishing it. My understanding, that's a new route, they've been working on this, is that correct?
They have been,
Okay, and so we want to go into foreclosure with that, if we talk to the property owner?
not the current property owner, no.
Because it was recently the tax deed sale, right? That was in January. I thought that we tried to reach out with it. I know that I thought that was in,
This property was,
last year.
this property was, in a probate state where the heirs didn't do anything with the property. It was sold on a tax deed sale with the lien in place. The person that purchased it in the tax deed sale sold it to the new owners, and they have done all kinds of things to it. The gentleman that bought it in the tax deed sale also did some work without permits. But this is its current state right now.
Is the roof permanent?
Is the roof permanent?
Yes.
But as I recall, it was the gun, wasn't the work begun without a permit?
I think they've done a lot of stuff without permits.
Right, 'cause I think that I heard from a neighbor, I think I got an inquiry that the initial roof was done without, I don't know. But I would believe that work has been done without a permit.
Yes.
What you're saying.
What is the amount of your lien?
I don't know, off the top of my head. If the commission decides they want to proceed with the foreclosure, I'll get all that information too, on the cases that decide that they want to foreclose on.
Okay, but Mayor, I have a question
Yes.
about this whole process before Pam goes any further. In the past, Bobby Pickens would evaluate cases for potential foreclosure. And he would, before we decided to foreclose, he would look into how complicated and expensive it might be based on a preliminary title search. I think we had to authorize money for the title search. And do we have any money in this year's budget for any kind of foreclosure activity? I don't remember that being in this year's budget.
Well, it's under-
We don't, do we? No,
Under legal.
no.
So
We don't have any extra.
title search, I don't know what arrangement you have, if any, with any title companies. I had them done fairly cheaply at the city because it was a long-standing arrangement with local title company. But I don't know about whether or not that would apply or whether they would enter into the same arrangement on these. But your title search is going to reveal a lot. And this is sold on tax deed, so that means that, and that's January 24, it eliminated every claim that would have been in the nature of a mortgage or another prior title holder or anything of that nature, if they went forward after that and did a quiet title suit, which they may or may not have. The tax deed is your first step if you do a quiet title suit to perfect title. So the reason I asked about the amount of the lien was because, if the lien is significant amount, you get to add your attorney's fees and costs to the prospect, into the total before if you win the foreclosure suit, what happens is that results in a sale of the property again. And your lien, and your attorney's fees and your cost is the amount of money that you have to bid back in. Somebody may come in and bid on the property, but if nobody does, then you end up owning the property. And then, you've got your money out of pocket that's in it, and it stays in it unless you're able to sell it. So the size of the property, is it on the tax roll for how is it assessed, how much is it assessed for or appraised at on the tax roll? Those are all things that I would go into in making those decisions on behalf of the city of Palaca. What's being showed at as assessed value? How likely are we to get somebody to bid on it? And then do you want to own it if we don't get anybody to bid on it? Because that's the next step. You own it then.
Right.
Then what are you going to do with it?
And we've taken it off the tax rolls.
And you take it off the tax rolls. So.
It is very small, it's 0.16 acres, it's surrounded by,
And-
it's just the house.
0.16 acres.
Yes.
Well, okay, this property has a side water view. And my question is, it's really a shame, this is an older house. It was a stucco house, it was originally a very nice historic era older house. What the city of Tampa used to do when they would foreclose on a derelict property, they would offer it to surrounding property owners. And I think we've done that here before. So that someone would take care of it and it would go back on the property rolls in some fashion.
This is
You
a
gotta
very
bid.
valuable.
You have to have a foreclosure sale. You can't do a private sale unless you bid on it
That's what
yourself
I
and
mean.
buy it, and
No,
then
no,
you
no.
can sell to your.
What I mean
So
is,
after we get it through foreclosure, then we can offer it for.
Is that a legal lot? What's the acres?
good question.
It's antiquated, I think it's.
I don't think it would not be currently,
But it does have,
but it's grandfathered in.
it has a water view.
Oh, it has a beautiful view. It's a very valuable piece.
And
No, a legal lot is what I asked. 0.16 acres. That's an awful small lot.
So for somebody to tear that down and to rebuild, they would not be able to.
My God.
But Pam, I have some concern because obviously they're trying to do something. And for us to go in, I mean, they put a new roof on it, it looks like they've taken the front of it off. I mean, we need to make sure that it's all permitted. So that's important too, but I would hate for these new owners, for whatever they're doing, I mean, it might be for them to be their new
Right, I believe they.
weekend getaway, yeah.
They left the budgets, they don't, if I'm not across the street. All right,
Well, wait a
Right.
minute, Mayor. So this was the subject of, oh, wait a minute, the code board hearing was in 2021.
21, yeah.
Okay.
A lot has happened since then on this house.
Right, but if it still looks like, I don't know, to me, this house looks.
Oh, no, that's new, because when we were looking at it just months ago and it was consideration of having it torn down,
Right.
the house was intact, for the most part. I mean, it was falling in, but it was intact. This is all new.
Okay, but this is starting to remind me of the house that was taken down to the studs on North Main Street. I guess, to me, the questions are, is there still unpermitted work being done? Do these people have a plan to bring it into code compliance? Because, I mean, I worry that they're not gonna save the house, that they're gonna, possibly just nibble it to pieces, the way the North Main Street house was.
And people look at it because they stopped and would talk to me, out there, that they were looking at it when they had it up for sale. And the concern that they had is that the repairs on this were, would exceed the value when it was completed possibly. So I had a lot of people say that they really didn't, several people say that they weren't going to make that investment. Obviously, these people had saw something different in this. But if we ever reached out and even spoken to them, I have concerns about this. It sounds to me like we're not ready for this. I think we need some additional information, on all of these. Mr. Holmes, how
Should
do
you
you feel?
choose to, you wanna call them, make an appointment, come in with all four of them, I'll look at them when I get them, talk to them. And if you wanna do that, and bring the file, and we'll try to pull up the tax cards right then, and look at your lien, and if that's of any help to you.
That'd be fun.
And I believe ultimately, I know Pam, what we're also trying to do, because we also have our Chinese restaurant property is the 1005 South Summit, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
I do have an updated picture of that, I took yesterday.
Okay, so it's still not in compliance, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay. What is the lien on this one right now? Are you aware?
It's over $100,000.
Is that right, though? That was an 04 case, so we're February 24, that was 20 years, right? Is that right?
Yes.
The original code board hearing was 04. There's been another lien imposed on it since then.
So it's a new.
I was just giving a little bit of history on it, and it has been in violation since 2004.
This is an operating business.
But it's, the business is, the person that owns the property is not the business owner.
Yeah, it's not business owner, people that own the property.
It's probably the issue.
Well, the last time we started talking about foreclosure of the Chinese restaurant property, the person who was operating the business left. There's now new people operating the business, and I don't know, I worry that discouraged, I have no idea, I just hope it didn't discourage the person who was doing a great job, from continuing to do so. I don't know.
But it sounds to me like we need to,
I need a motion.
have something to do.
Well, I think we're going to have her.
Then I move that the code enforcement officer work with the city attorney and review these properties before bringing back to us.
Sorry, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this?
Mayor, I just have one comment.
Yes.
I do want to thank our code officer for being proactive and bringing situations to our attention and trying to, improve properties.
Thank you. Thank you.
And can I ask a question?
Yes.
As the list of liens that we had, now once you go through that and give us back a clean list? Is that taking care of all these liens that have been back and flowing around, so no one's gonna come up with a $200,000 lien on a piece of property from 2010 or something now, right? Is that what we're moving towards?
Right, to alleviate that, we get small.
So if they're old and they're, this should bring us up to date as far as those old 3 owners ago, $300,000 piece, lien for not having garbage cans or something like that, that some of these are. But everything else, there will be still a few that are newer and other issues, correct?
Yes, I only went through 2017 per direction from the Charles Rudd, but I will continue to look at all the files from 2017. I started in 2017, so I look at all the liens that we have in place since then to.
I mean, it makes sense to me if you should be able to have a list of all the just current running liens. And after a while, it should be a lot easier now, right?
We have over 100 right now.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay? Okay, so let's move on to our city manager report. Do we have any questions of the city manager report?
Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
And just climb out and ask for Macy or Melanie. Here, and she'll give you time. Macy or Melanie.
Everything. Questions?
Just kind of the only question I really have is, and I don't know if this is a question for, I guess it's for the city manager, but, what is the status of our city manager search? I saw the job notice on the website.
Yes, I don't know if she was handling that, so she was not here, and I haven't, with everything this week, honestly, I like Michael in place right now, so.
Right.
So I haven't.
I guess, well, the application period goes to November 15th, so I guess we don't worry about that. I don't really have any questions.
One thing I noticed in there, and I noticed driving down the street was, what's going on with the lights that they're putting out?
FPL?
Yeah.
So I spoke to FPL, our executive that we work with, and they were trying really hard to have those in place before, but, they're not sure that they're going to. She's pushing them pretty hard on that, but with everything else that they've got right now, they kind of put that, they're not focusing on that, but they will. And when they do, she's assured me before they go live, we will have a Harry Banks dedication. Celebration for those, but.
They put the poles up and then they put the poles down.
Good way to cheer.
They take all the poles, all the cement poles down.
There's all the ones that are like up in the north part there past St. John's.
Oh, those are laying down. Those were some older poles.
They were up and then they took them down.
Yes. I think, I'm not sure why they did that, but we were worried about the ones that were right there within the city limits. I think those go outside the city limits.
That's because that piece of property there.
I don't know, but I will ask.
Right up to Citron.
I will ask and get an answer.
Yeah, because like they were up and they were there and they're putting some more in the middle there where it's sort of close to the road, and then they took them all down right there. And then I'm trying to remember if they took the rest of them out.
No, the rest of them are up. They're all up through town up until you get to that point where they're laying on the ground.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they got pulled off of something or what happened.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what the.
But they know, because
Progress.
every time I talk to her, that's kind of, okay, where are we on those lights? Anything else for the city manager?
No, I have a couple of questions for the city attorney, but we're not ready.
And I just want to say that, as Michael, thank you very much, and commissioners, we need to allow him some grace. He's trying to find his way, and he had to stop everything in the middle of, and work on a hurricane event, but,
Live in a cave.
And live without electricity, and bless his heart, he came up here and he stayed here all day long and kept hoping that the internet was gonna come up, and the internet never would come up, so we were without internet, we were without telephones, and,
Next time.
yeah. And so, anyway,
Well, I personally would like to commend our interim city manager for staying here and staying in Florida and not turning around and going back every way, so. We appreciate that. We appreciate that very much.
and he found that, he has found, that, as we all know, it's a challenge here, finding a place to rent on a short-term basis. Especially as we're coming into our snowbird season. So that was a challenge for him too, that he's overcome, that he has now overcome, so.
I listened to Joe.
Mr. Brillhart, is there anything you would like to share or any observation?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you. We know. And so we're gonna move on to our city attorney. Commissioner Levina, you said you had a couple of questions of our city attorney.
I don't know, does he have any report to make or? Okay, so, this was not on my original list, but, in view of two of the public comments tonight that were specifically directed toward two commissioners and other people. Last year, the year before, at some point, we adopted rules for, public comment. We adopted rules for conduct of meetings that included conduct of commissioners and as well conduct of the public. And you may have noticed, under public comment in our agenda, it has part of those rules. And we actually copied them from the city of Newport Richey. I think Mr. Pickens was our attorney at the time. Right here in our agenda, under public comment, and the mayor reads some of it, says, speakers are supposed to afford the utmost courtesy to the commission, city employees, refrain from rude, derogatory remarks, reflections on integrity, abusive comments, statements about motives and personalities. One of the speakers tonight, Mr. Hammond, came and spoke last year at some time, and told us that our rules for public comment with regarding the public violated, First Amendment or other federal rights. And I think Mr. Pickens was here at the time. I remember asking for clarification about that, because Mr. Hammond, I think, said he would sue us in federal court if we tried to, enforce our civility rules. And we never really got an answer as to whether our rules about directing your remarks to the entire commission, not one commissioner, being civil and not derogatory, are those enforceable or are they not? And if you can't answer it tonight, it might be helpful to have an answer in future, because it's printed in our agenda. Is it a suggestion? Because as well, we say general comments should come at the beginning of the meeting, and then on agenda items, you have to address the agenda item. I'm just wondering, can we do all that?
The question is basically whether the problems that are created in trying to enforce them outweigh the benefit in trying to enforce them. But if you think about this, and I have for a lot of years, if he comes up and says something, some of what he said might or might not have been slanderous. It was spoken, so it wouldn't be libelous. It wasn't written. But if he makes a direct accusation of a crime under Florida law, that's slander per se. And while you are public figures to a degree, there is a limit on what the public figure, allowance provides for. if you accuse somebody of a specific crime, then even if they're a public figure, that's theoretically slanderous. But in
Like
terms of,
accusing me of walking out with bags of cash. That's been out there, so, I mean, I'm just asking, that would be considered,
you know, it's, of course, first of all, if you were to, and anyone who's done much legal work knows, slander laws are great, but you have very few recoveries.
right,
That's just fact of life.
we found that out, we know that.
One option or one escape route is that it's a statement of opinion. Well, statements of opinion are not considered to be slanderous. But if they're just a flat out accusation, but the more specific the accusation, the better you have a chance of enforcing it. So the question is, what do you do? Someone gets up here and says things and he's breaching your rules of decorum, and what do? You say stop, and he doesn't stop. And then you say, if you don't stop, I'm gonna have you ejected from the meeting room. And then he doesn't stop. And then what do? Do you ask law enforcement to get involved and take him out of the meeting room? And quite frankly, if he does stop after 3 minutes or less, the question is, have you caused more problem than you have solved? And although I'm happy to give you a more specific and updated answer, and I will, by your next meeting, I'll give you a brief memo on state of Florida law, but free speech does protect a lot, not everything. Because you do have a right to pass decorum laws and civility laws for the conduct of meetings. And you've seen that on the news here and there, but it usually makes the news when somebody tries to throw somebody out of the public meeting. And the question is just one of practicality, is it worth it?
And Bobby's kind of shared, that's kind of where Mr. Pickens, that's kind of, you know, advising also.
Yeah, it's true, but I'll give you some specific guidance by the next meeting.
And by having a code of conduct or something mounted, written up there posted on the podium for speakers is always good.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If he's gonna.
It doesn't matter, and and honestly,
I just think that it's something that we should do.
honestly, sometimes you let them say what they want to say and then let the public decide.
Right.
You know, how they handle themselves, and that reaches to that too.
Well, I do think we should have a code of conduct. I think that, people should be encouraged to speak to the commission and not to grandstand or speak to the camera. And a lot of people, are happy to comply, and if we remind them, they will. Some people won't, and I recognize who they are and who they aren't. So I think guidance would be helpful. I don't like personal attacks. I'm happy to raise a point of order, but I understand that the mayor might prefer to just let them speak, and that it might just be a big fracas and brouhaha if we actually try to remove
And
something.
that's it, and honestly, quite
Right.
honestly, that's what they're asking for.
But I understand that.
That's what they're asking for. And I don't like it.
Since most of this is directly towards Michelle, myself, and Tracy Eckhart, let me just say this, it's the same old. And what I'm hearing from most people is, it's the same old. It's really, that's the reaction that people give me.
Yeah.
And whether or not, I just sit up here, it's like, I don't really even hear it anymore, don't care. It's kind of meaningless, doesn't mean a thing to me. And it doesn't mean a thing, just to let you know, it really doesn't mean a thing to most people at this point. It's just, it's hard to take the 6 minutes for 2 people to get up there and do that. I mean, it's like, okay, so you got your 6 minutes, and let's move on and go get to business, so.
I mean, this has been our life for.
Yeah, this has been our life for
years.
years.
It also, happened in the past with another commissioner who was here, who's no longer here. But anyway, I just would appreciate the guidance, and I think it's good that we talk about how to handle it.
And I will speak to the one, so, throughout this last year, I've had 5 ethics complaints filed against me.
Yeah.
I've gone to the ethics commission twice. One of them, the last one was from 4 residents not even residents, four people. And it was, all of them were found, every time I went to the Ethics Commission, they were found, there was, yeah, they had no merit. So this last one though, the Ethics Commission grouped those four together because they were all identical, if not identical, very similar in nature. So they grouped them together, they heard them together. We have filed, for attorney's fees, and it has been a recommendation of their general counsel, that they send this to the, administrative hearings. And so we do have a meeting next Friday. We do in Tallahassee on this for the commission to hear it. However, it was not attorney's fees against each one for the same amount. It was the attorney's fees, one attorney fee, and it definitely wasn't in the 40,000 range. But so she took them all and it's one fee. So it's not, she's suing each one individually. She took them all as a case. So it's not the 40, I think it was, I don't know, somewhere in the 14, but it was 4. Because she represented it all as one case, because that's how the commission looked at it, my understanding. So just so everybody, for anybody that wants to know that.
Okay, well, that wasn't really my question, but I mean.
But I think y'all need a clarification, and we haven't, I haven't, we haven't shared that, Ethics Commission.
But it's public.
It's now public. Prior to that, it was not. But it's, when you do that, it's against your integrity, and,
Well, not only that, it's a waste of your time, it's a waste of the Commission on Ethics time.
Yeah.
It's a waste of the investigators' time as well as everyone else. I mean, it's not, it might be free to do and it should be free.
And it is free.
If it's.
And it's free, and they're doing the people's work, and they said that, so.
But it's not free because it's, malicious.
Yes, I have one more question for our city attorney. Okay, so we have a city logo that we use. It's not clear to me. I've seen this logo used in campaign literature. I saw it used on Facebook I'm not sure whether it's being used by a city employee on their personal Facebook page. I'm just not clear about that, but, the city logo is not trademarked.
I don't know, is yours trademarked? It could be,
It's not,
it's not.
not to mine, yeah.
I don't
You
know.
have to file.
Yeah, we have to file that, we never filed that.
I mean, I asked about this a couple years ago. We were told we're not supposed to make our own letterhead with the city logo that we used then, which I don't even know if that was the city seal. But is anyone free to use our city
If it's not trademarked,
logo?
I mean, if it's not trademarked, then you may have it, or she has her hand up, so she may have some.
I do. Before Charles left, and I'll explain it to everybody and on camera, before he left, he had me become an administrator. So instead of using my personal account for Facebook, I started a city account, which has only a few people on there. And so so on that Facebook page that's there now, I am administrator of the city of Crescent City, Florida, FL. And to get to that point, I had to make a Facebook page that didn't relate to my personal page. So administrative assistant is the email address that I used to help me along to get to that Facebook page. It's not a personal Facebook page. I don't put personal stuff on there. I put personal stuff on my page, which has no relation whatsoever to the city. It's two separate accounts, and I only use the Facebook on this computer or on that computer, and then when I go home, I use my personal one on my personal computer. So it has nothing to do with.
I agree, I don't know why people are using it, but, logos are logo for the city, but,
And that's what I'm using it for. I'm using it for the city. It's not.
Well, it wasn't specifically, didn't mean to delve into exactly whatever you're doing, I'm just saying, can anyone use our city logo?
You may have rules that apply to you either as elected officials or as candidates that prohibit the use of the city's logo in connection to those particular pursuits and that environment. But if it's not trademarked, then I'm not aware of what you would use to try to keep somebody from using it.
Well, do most cities trademark their logo? Or
I don't know about most cities. I know that, for instance, the blue crab logo and those kinds of things we trademark.
Because I don't know how much it costs, I don't think it's all that.
It's not that expensive.
It's not.
It's not, right, because to me, if you're able to trademark it and you don't, then that gives people kind of the ability to use your seal or your symbol and imply, you know, that they're acting on your behalf.
And I'm assuming you don't have a ordinance that prohibits the use of have y'all even adopted that as your official seal or trademark?
Yes, we have adopted it as our official seal, but we have not trademarked it.
So you've adopted it. Is there anything in your ordinances that prohibit people from using your officially adopted seal and for any purpose whatsoever?
No, sir.
There is.
Can we work on it? For the future.
Is that all you had, Commissioner DeVito?
That was all I had.
No more trouble. Okay, did you need to make a motion? All right, good. You good?
Maybe we could bring this back for further
Okay.
consideration.
Okay. The only other thing is that the case Peterson versus, the city and myself, that is up for on Thursday, the 24th. We go to mediation, in Jacksonville. So just an update for that. Yeah. So.
That's a court order mediation that,
He ordered that, yes, sir. It's court ordered mediation.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I remember that.
Yes, he did. He said it's not suggesting, he's ordering, so.
I just wanna make one thing clear, I mean, everybody that kind of comes, that all the commissioners, any commissioners up here that just consistently, recalls, all the different things that are kind of coming at us. I want the public to understand, we have the opportunity to defend ourselves. And by defending ourselves, especially because most generally, they're going after our character, who we are. But we can defend ourselves with what they're doing. And, once we defend ourselves and we win, for example, the recalls that I won, we have people that go out there and are just very disappointed that we lost. Okay? So the rumor is always, well, you're spending the taxpayers' money. Because of course, the city paid for those recalls. The point is that that's the law. We pay for those recalls. And, it wasn't me that decided to be recalled. It was a few people that decided I was gonna be recalled for no apparent reason. And so, it's those people that have caused the city to pay those tax dollars out, not me. I'm just defending myself. And so I think people need to understand that, that's kind of how it works. That's all I want to say, because I'm getting tired of saying, I'm getting tired of hearing it.
I do want to say this, that when you hold public office and when you serve a community, and another elected official from not here, somebody else said this to me this afternoon, they say, until you actually sit behind the dice, you don't understand all that goes into this position and holding this and the responsibility that we have. And I have to say that especially in a small community like this, is that when you step up and you want to run and you want to hold this office, and I feel like all of us, we all bring something to the table, but you're a public servant and you have a servant's heart. And that's the one thing I have to say is that, you know, I've been very proud of this commission because none of this is self-serving. This has all been because I feel this commission and the commissions, you know, we've had other commissioners here, that they care truly about this community and this community matters to them. And you know, and it takes away from your personal life. It takes away from your business life. It takes away from a lot, but you're willing to do that. And so you're to be commended, and it's difficult when you're constantly, everything you do, you're constantly being ridiculed. But it's not just here, it's public officials across the country, and if we're not careful, and I wanna say this, if we're not careful and we allow this to continue, and I think Facebook is the demise of our civilization. I truly do. Yep. But if we don't do this, good people will not step up and hold office. And that concerns me tremendously. And that's been an example here in this community with the people, you know, normally in the past, we've had elections and we'll have 5 people ran Commissioner DeVito back in the day when you first ran.
Yes.
And so that's something that's very telling. And we need to be very careful about.
And Mayor, about Facebook, I do have one thing to say. You were talking about the public being abusive of commissioners. I would just like to remind you that I have been abused by city staff. I've been cursed at. I was called a bombastic psychopath by our former interim city manager on city email that actually came from your email address.
But
I'm not done.
No, you keep bringing this up. I don't wanna go here tonight
No,
because we're in a positive mode.
Yeah.
But you're gonna bring it up and then he signed his name to it again.
Fine.
He signed his
Okay,
name
but
to
my
it, so you
point
know it
is-
wasn't for me.
Not one commissioner objected to me being attacked and called names. I am saying the public attacks the commission, but as a commissioner, I have been personally attacked, and as well on Facebook. I was not going to bring this up tonight, but there is another commissioner who several times, that's my understanding, has attacked me on Facebook, talking about how I vote, saying that I take legal advice from other people other than the city attorney, which I made clear that I did not do. And I wasn't going to bring this up, but as a commissioner, I think it's very important that we are polite to each other, that we do not make personal attacks, especially, and I would like to ask the city attorney, when another commissioner on Facebook calls in to question my vote, my reasons for voting, my competence,
Can you share that, would you share that with us?
I'm
so that
not
we have
allowed
that?
to respond to that on Facebook, am I? Isn't this the only place that I can respond?
Because if you're asking that in a sunshine context,
Yes, if they're talking about why I voted on something and saying that I voted using, advice from someone other than the city attorney, I can't respond. I was told by Mr. Pickens, when he was our city attorney, that I should not so much as write an op-ed on any subject that could ever come before the commission because it could violate the sunshine law. So I assumed when a commissioner on Facebook criticized my votes and how I conduct myself on the commission, that this is the only place I can bring that issue up.
sunshine law has to do with private conversations between 2 or more board members about a subject that might come before the board.
Right.
I don't know that that would apply to a blast that's being put out in the public.
We've been told in legal training, ethics training by the attorney for the League of Cities who conducts those, that we should not be conversing with each other on Facebook.
Well, I agree. If
Okay.
you're talking about responding to an accusation, I thought, I didn't think you were talking about talking about, for instance, whether or not you guys should hold the Veterans Day Parade on Facebook, back and forth, that was.
I'm talking about questioning my motives and my integrity and why I voted on something and how I voted. That's what I'm talking about. And I'll be happy to give you a copy of it.
I think if you would share a copy of that with all of us, so we know.
Sure.
I know it's not me, because I don't post anything on
Right, but
Facebook.
when you talk about the public's use
And
of
I know
Facebook,
it's not you.
No, I don't
It's
vote.
probably me.
I don't even vote.
and yes, and so I,
And it really goes back to, recall, that
So,
those moments during those recall votes.
So-
That's where it goes back.
And we're gonna go on a positive note, but I do wanna say that in my ethics course, they said we should stay off of Facebook altogether. You should just stay off of Facebook altogether. And that's the safest way to conduct ourselves. And with that,
Can I go one more?
yeah,
okay,
This is the last full meeting
I know, I was
with
gonna,
Commissioner Banks. And I think that we all
Is this it?
need to.
yes.
Are you kidding? We're acting like heathens
This has
again.
been 40 years.
I've been trained.
Community.
okay.
And I've had the honor of serving with him 2 times, and I just value this man so much, and I'm gonna miss him, and I told him he has to come sit on us every once in a while and keep an eye on us. But Commissioner Banks, it has been such a pleasure serving with you both times. I know that you don't always have something to say, but when you say it, we listen.
Yeah.
And it's because you have something important to say. And this community owes you dead things. We owe you dead things. I'm very sad about being able to see you over there. But
Thank you. I enjoy working with all of you. But out of the 40 years I've been here, I ain't never seen it just the way it is now, though.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough, and I just don't know why, but I just realize it.
Commissioners, that was how I was gonna end it. I wanna recommend that we have, so he does have one more meeting.
yes, this is
He does have one more meeting for us to praise him, and, it's gonna be even tough for me, because he's my vice mayor. I would like us, if we could, before the next meeting, about 30 minutes prior to, if we can have a reception. In his honor.
Yes, I was
And-
gonna suggest that.
And so we'll do that and have that, and Ms. Banks, hopefully she can make it in family, and, because it's gonna be a Saturday problem. Anyway, with that, I need a motion to adjourn. No, wait, no, I need a motion from Commissioner Banks.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
I provided copies.
I said that I knew that we could take an hour-long agenda and make it 4 hours.